Hello, horror fans. Bet you didn't know you were in for a treat. Death by Podcast, the world's greatest horror podcast. I'm your host, Adam. It's your other host,
Kevin.
Kevin, you just said this episode might go a little long, and that's okay. You know why? Because this is episode 75.
Yeah.
Oof. That's a big one, man. That's a big whopper. And the reason it might go long is because we've got a bunch of stuff to talk about. We decided to do, for the main show, for the letter K, my co-host here, Kevin Krull, decided to go with the movie Krull. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, it'll break in tradition a little bit. It's not quite a horror movie, but it's...
it's got horror elements.
It's such an 80s movie that it felt like it, qualified.
For 75, it's your last name, and like, it works.
Sure.
It's weird. I was at the comic shop yesterday, and somebody just randomly, we were talking about comic books, and somebody just randomly goes, and then we started talking about, I don't know what movie we were talking about. For some reason, the dude looks at me and goes, "Have you ever seen the movie Krull?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "I'm literally going to be recording that tonight or tomorrow." And it was just a weird thing. So we started talking about that. I don't know why it came up. But along with Krull, we've got, what's he doing?
I just remembered I have a giant Krull like sign.
Oh yeah,
behind me that I didn't turn on, but I gotta plug it in.
You got it? No. Is it from the movie?
No, yeah, it's from the movie, but it's from the arcade game. I bought the marquee from the arcade game.
Yeah.
And like from eBay, somebody had it on eBay. Like a vintage one from '83. And then I built a frame around it and put LED lights in it, so it lights up. It's pretty sweet.
That's awesome, man. I don't think I've ever played that. I don't know. Maybe
it's kind of cool. It's kind of like it's not bad.
You throw the glaive?
Yeah. Yeah. It's at Galloping Ghost. They got it. I got a picture in front of it.
That's awesome. In fact,
hang on.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
I got deja vu. I don't know. I felt like we'd been through that before. Like the whole sign washing out because it's so bright, and the gremlin falling over as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, Kevin's got the sign. It looks great. It's a really cool piece. But he's also got this life-size gremlin behind him. And the reason he's got all his gremlin stuff out is because we're kind of doing not necessarily a double feature, but we decided to do What'd You Watch, Gremlins 2. You all have heard Kevin go on and on about it. Tonight's the night. He's finally going to be able to express his love for that movie. So we watched that. We got a bunch of other stuff, but Kevin, first thing I need to bring up, did you see the greatest joke of the decade delivered by
Ghostbusters 2016? Is that what we're talking about?
Delivered
that wasn't a very funny joke.
No, I know. Delivered by Jeff Bridges the other night. Did you see that? The Tron joke?
Oh no, I didn't.
Dude,
did I?
Holy shit. It went over. So it was one of these, I don't know what it was on. It was one of these like YouTube roundtables where like there were like 6 actors.
I did see this, and the guys didn't get the joke.
Nobody got it. It was the greatest joke. It was the greatest joke of the day.
That he got sucked into a game.
Holy shit.
And they didn't know what the fuck he was talking
about.
about.
He's sitting around with a table of actors. It's Kieran Culkin, Pedro Pascal, and Jeff Bridges, and 2 other guys. I don't know who they were. And Pedro Pascal is going on about The Last of Us and how it's a video game and how he tried to play it. Kieran Culkin was like, "Did you play it?" He's like, "Yeah, I tried to play it. I just couldn't get it. But it does suck you in." And Jeff Bridges goes, "Man, I got sucked into a video game once." And everybody looks at him and goes, "Really?" Pedro's like, "What game was it?" He goes, "Tron, man."
Like, and none of them got it.
Everybody got it. Like, he literally gets sucked into the game in Tron. And he's also playing on the fact that, like, the pun of spending too much time on video games. What a bunch of idiots. Jesus Christ. It was so funny, dude. I laughed my ass off. My brother Joe was dropping me off one night after like a long day at the shop. And he's like, hold on, before you get out, I gotta show you this video. And he shows me. I just like my head exploded. It was so good, man. And
At least, yeah, at least it was Jeff Bridges, who's the like mellowest, coolest guy
yeah,
ever. So it's not even like he felt embarrassed that they didn't
yeah.
get his joke.
Tron, man.
He was just like, all right, man, well, I'll see you later. Like he just,
And I think apparently the internet caught it, and it's been
yeah.
making the rounds about how dense these guys are. And like I love Pedro, like Mandalorian, awesome. But every time I see him in a interview situation, he is kind of like dense. Like he's kind of not all there. He doesn't really think much, but whatever. Um, that was great. Anyway, you have some news, you said? Do you have some news?
Yeah, a little bit of news.
What do you got?
Little horror news. I just saw a couple three things.
Three things. There we
Three
go.
and a half.
Three and a half.
Yeah. So they announced they're gonna do Hocus Pocus 3.
Oh wow. Was the second one that successful?
We'll never know because it's on Disney
Disney
Plus.
Plus, yeah.
You know,
Did you like it?
I didn't even really watch it.
Okay.
We had a party for it because my wife loves Hocus Pocus. So like
Yeah.
I was running around and making sure shit worked and
Jesus Christ.
like and I I liked the first one when I was a kid.
I watched it on, you and I guess Lindsay's suggestion more than anything. But I watched that this past Halloween, and it was
the first one or the second one?
the first one. I haven't seen the second one. First
Okay.
one was hard to get through for me. But it's got everything I like, which is weird, but I don't know why. It just didn't. You know what I did like is the house that they all lived in. It was awesome. I don't know where it was, but
Salem, Massachusetts.
yep.
But yeah, I mean, it's one of those movies where if you didn't see it when you were a kid, you probably aren't going to love it now.
But that's what I'm
then
saying.
again,
Like it's got all the quaint and charm that I like in like a kid's horror movie, but whatever.
Yeah, my mom liked it when it came, but she liked Bette Midler, so but
You are the wind in his mind.
on to the next piece of news.
Yep.
They announced they're gonna do the Purge 6. And they're gonna bring back Frank Grillo.
Really?
Yeah, which he
How many was he in?
He's definitely in 2. He's in 3. I don't.
The first one was Ethan Hawke, and then he took over.
Yeah.
Okay.
He plays just a guy in the second one, and then I think he's like, because the third or fourth, I think it's the third one. It's like the president, like they're going after the president, and he's like the president's bodyguard. And I don't know if he's in the fourth one.
And there's obviously a fifth one.
Well, there's a fifth one, but it takes place in like the Wild West or something.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if it's the Wild West, but it's definitely like after the world end. It's something. I don't know, but it's I think it's a prequel.
You like those movies?
I haven't seen all of them. I like them enough. I remember being surprised how much I like the first one and the second one. The second one, I remember being like, I thought this was going to be a real piece of shit, and it's not bad.
I mean, I don't like those movies. I don't like the concept. I think it hits too close to home. But as far as like, I don't know, I could see the idiots out there that actually happening, but whatever.
There's a Purge porn parody that came out that I thought was pretty fun. Yeah,
That's
it's
cool.
same concept, but you can't get in trouble for like having sex with people.
Okay, that's fun.
Instead of murder. I thought that was pretty funny.
That's fun.
I
do like Frank Grillo though, so I don't know.
Yeah, Frank Grillo is great. I think he should have been the Punisher.
Yeah, I agree. He would have been. But from what I've heard, Frank Grillo is a little too, like he actually is the Punisher in real life.
He's really like tracking down.
Like he's really like he'll kick your ass for looking at him wrong. Like
that's not crazy.
He's a little crazy.
Yeah, I mean, but he was already Crossbones too.
Right. So that wouldn't work.
Yeah, I remember when they made him Crossbones. Like that's a bummer, man.
Yeah,
he would have made a good Punisher.
Unless they gave
Barenthal's okay. Like I don't mind him. I think he's a pretty good one.
Yeah. But we talked about didn't we talk last week about Ray Stevenson because he passed away? So
yeah,
I think he was great as the Punisher. But I love Thomas Jane too as the Punisher. It's weird.
I like Thomas Jane. I like Dolph Lundgren. You know,
Yeah, that
you
wasn't really
know,
the Punisher, but whatever.
I know.
I just
But
like Dolph Lundgren. Period.
yeah, who doesn't, man?
Yeah.
I watched the Rocky Four, the new Rocky Four.
Oh yeah, you got to get me that copy.
It's good.
I'd watch that. I want to check.
Um,
What else you got?
two more little bits of news, not really news, but today is the 39th anniversary of both Ghostbusters and Gremlins.
No shit.
They came out on the
Wait,
same
that's
they,
right.
they came out on the same day, and it was 39 years ago today.
That's today.
Yeah, that's today.
And we're going to talk about Gremlins 2 today.
Yeah.
We did not plan that, folks.
No.
There's
And
some weird
I knew it was Ghostbusters all day. Like I had people calling me and telling me like, it's a 30. It's weird because it's like this doesn't happen every year. Like
No.
people were calling me and it was all over Twitter like, oh, it's the 39th anniversary of
What the
Ghostbusters.
fuck?
But and then I happened to know that Gremlins came out on the same day, and I was like, oh, and looked it
June
up just to
8th,
double check.
1984.
Yeah.
Well, they both didn't come out on the same day.
Yeah, they did.
Did they?
Yeah.
They both came out on the same day.
Yeah. Look it up.
I hope we're not talking nonsense here, but folks, if this is for real, this is one of the craziest days ever. Because not only that, we're also talking about Krull, which is your last name. So it's just like weird, and it's episode 75.
Yeah.
This is bananas, dude. All right, that's good stuff.
Let me.
You're gonna double check, and it's not gonna be that. That's crazy if they came out on the same day.
Yeah, they did. Hang on.
I know they're both 84.
It was Gremlins, Ghostbusters, and Top Secret.
Really?
I think
Top
so.
Secret?
That's what this article was saying.
That's one of my brother's favorite movies. Val Kilmer.
Oh, wait. Top Secret was originally supposed to come out on the same day as both Gremlins and Ghostbusters. And I guess it did come out in some places that day.
But it didn't get a wide release.
But the wide release was on the 22nd. It was 2 weeks later. And that, I mean, I love Top Secret, but it's not.
I've never seen it.
Oh, Top Secret's great.
Joe swears by it.
It's good, but like it's not. It'd be one thing if it was like, oh, The Naked Gun came out the same day, but it's a fine movie, but it's not. It's not. Can you believe they came out the same day as Ghostbusters?
But you just double checked. It's Ghostbusters and Gremlins. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Bananas, dude. Because I remember seeing Gremlins, the first one, in the drive-in. My dad took the whole family to the drive-in, and then I remember it must have been. Obviously, it was 2 different days, but I remember my parents going to see Ghostbusters, and when they came back, I really wanted to see it. They came back and said it was too scary after taking us to see Gremlins. So I didn't get to see Ghostbusters until it came out on VHS. That's crazy.
A guy I worked with today, unrelated. I wasn't even talking to him about Gremlins or Ghostbusters, anything. Told me randomly that Gremlins was the first movie I ever saw in theaters.
Dude, what is happening? There's something going on in like New York's orange right now.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So
all right. Don't let me forget that. I gotta text my brother that. Yeah.
One more thing. It's a little horror related in the news. This is fun.
Yeah. What you got?
So General Mills.
Yeah,
they're
oats, man.
Their Monster cereal.
Yep.
Line. I'm a big fan.
Sure.
Count Chocula, Frankenberry.
Blueberry,
Fruit Brute, Yummy Mummy.
Yeah. One of those is only in Canada though.
No, nope.
Yummy Mummy.
No, they have it here.
Really?
Yeah, they bring it in they brought it in, it lasts a couple of years and then they took it out. Now they bring it back.
All right.
But anyway, they are gonna have a new monster.
Oh shit. The creature from the Black Lagoon.
No. It's cool. It's not anybody cool.
The Bride of Frankenstein.
No, you would think all of these would work. It's not
even
even
who else is there?
It's called Carmela Creeper.
What?
It's caramel apple cereal. And I don't know, she just looks like a zombie, I think, with headphones.
All right.
Like she looks lame. She looks like she's got a black t-shirt on with a skull on it,
Uh,
and she's
oh, so
wearing
she's like a goth chick.
yeah, she's a goth chick, and she has a scar on her cheek, but that's the only thing that implies she might be
That
a zombie.
sucks, man. Get the fuck. I mean, does she look like Frankenhooker at all?
No, she
Man,
looks lame. Yeah, it's a little
dude, you
disappointing.
had the creature to pick from. You had the bride. You had the Phantom of the Opera. Why can't
Yeah,
they call it the Caramel Phantom or like the Caramel Creature? The Caramel Creature, dude. And apples are green.
yeah,
And it's the creature. Dude, get out of here.
yeah. I don't think she's gonna last.
That's so,
Uh,
that's so
but
bad.
then, and I couldn't believe it took them this long. A couple of years ago, they had the cereal called Monster Mash, and it was all of them together. I was like,
Wow.
oh, that's genius.
Yeah.
She's gonna be included in that. They're gonna do it again this year.
If they do
Anyway,
that again, the stores around me don't carry that shit ever. Get me a box of that Monster Mash and send it to me.
I
I'll
will
eat it. I'll eat
for
it.
sure.
I'll eat it like on the show.
Okay.
All right.
That's all the movie news.
All right, man. That's good. This is crazy. I don't know. It's shaping up to be one hell of a show. So let's see. Let me just make sure we're not missing anything. We did. Oh, speaking of Gremlins, also over on the Patreon, we just wrapped up episode 62 of BoobTube TV. We talked about episode 3 of the Gremlins Secret of the Mogwai show. So we got Gremlins covered. All right. So check that out. It's patreon.com/deathbypodcast. If you want to support the show. Kevin, you said you had a couple other What'd You Watches?
Yeah. I watched the Mario Brothers movie. I watched a ton of shit this week, but
Did you?
Mario Brothers movie, and I've been doing the old Indiana Jones movies.
I gotta do that. I gotta start that.
And because I'm not too psyched for this new one. So
Yeah.
I'm a little, but yeah, we're going just like, man, these are great.
I've said this before. I mean, you're not including Crystal Skull, right? In your
No, yeah, but I have a feeling I have a feeling if I go back and rewatch it, I won't hate it as much as
I
I
agree.
don't know, who
I've
knows?
only seen it once as well, and I'll watch it in my rewatch definitely.
I'll give it a chance, but I will reserve the right to like turn it off. Like if it sucks, I'm gonna turn it off.
Yeah. I just don't understand. Harrison Ford announced his retirement, so this is his last movie. It's his last Indiana Jones movie, and Spielberg didn't want to direct it. Do you know anything behind that?
I don't know why you didn't want to direct it. I mean, but
Blows my mind. He directed the 4. Why not the last one? Why not
you know
Harrison
what?
Ford's
The way the
movie?
last, yeah, I mean, George Lucas isn't involved in this one either.
Really?
It,
Well, yeah, okay.
yeah, not at all. This one's all Disney, and it's it seems like they were gonna make it with or without Spielberg. I mean, they clearly did.
I wonder if it's a reflection on, how Disney has issues with their directors. Like they don't let directors direct. That's why almost all the Star Wars directors get replaced. I wonder if just like James Mangold is just, I mean, if I was James Mangold, I'd say, yeah, I'll do whatever you want to do. But I wonder if Spielberg was like, you're not going to let me do what I want to do. I'm out.
I don't know because when he like, if you ever watch interviews with him about Crystal Skull, it seems like he didn't really give a fuck about that one. Like,
Really?
yeah, in the interviews, he's like, "Hey, George wanted to do Aliens," so I said, "Sure, we'll do Aliens." Like, and George wanted to do this, so I said, "Fine, I don't care." And that's like literally the whole interview. It's like, Jesus Christ, Steven. You got to watch this interview with him where it's just like, what are you doing, dude? Like,
he hasn't made a good movie since I don't even know what, but
I haven't seen his new one.
nah, he hasn't made a good movie since I don't even know. Catch Me If You Can, maybe.
Yeah, it was a good one, but that was 15 years ago.
At least.
It's more than that. That's like 2001.
Yeah.
So almost 20.
Was the one where Tom Hanks is stuck in the airport good?
The Terminal?
Terminal?
I forgot that was him. It was okay. It wasn't bad. Yeah, it was like, okay.
But he hasn't done like
he
hasn't done like an ET movie in
no, nothing of that caliber.
decades,
He did the big fucking guy. He did the
Really? He did that? I didn't
yeah,
realize he directed that. Okay.
Yeah, he did War Horse. He did Ready Player One.
Garbage.
He did what else did he do? Ready Player One, the Glaive appears in that movie.
Everything appears in that. That's why it's got to be your most hated movie of all time. It's got Gremlins, it's got Ghostbusters, it's got Glaive.
It actually doesn't have Gremlins or Ghostbusters.
I thought there was Gremlins running around. No,
I don't think so. Chucky's in it. What was I gonna?
so weird.
But yeah. Anyway. But yeah, these Indiana Jones movies. I'm just a little. Are we gonna do the new one? Like, are you gonna watch it? And
I'm gonna go to the theater twice this summer. It's for Indiana Jones and The Flash. Outside of that, nothing's really worth my time.
I don't know, man. It's that chick again, man, who I'm sure is good on that show Fleabag, but they put her in all my stuff.
Oh, it's your girl from Solo, man. It's the
it's the feminist droid.
Yeah,
what's
her name? It's
Phoebe Waller or something.
Bridge.
And it's just like, you know what, man? Like, I don't have a problem with like whatever, but she doesn't.
Women?
Here's my thing. Well, they already in like one of the trailers or in one of the clips, she's like busting his balls about stealing from indigenous people.
Okay,
like, give me a fucking break.
Every Indiana Jones has a woman in it who busts his balls.
Yeah, but like usually it's about like, you're a real scoundrel, or you're whatever. You know, it's a little iffy about Marion in the first one, where it's like he's a hook up, you know, there's a little what was going on there. Yeah, he always just deal with a goofy woman, but
a goofy woman.
They're never like nagging at him for like, I don't know.
I think isn't she supposed to be his daughter or something?
No, she's his goddaughter.
All right.
But like, I don't
know.
Is
it Sala's daughter?
I don't know. Sala's in it.
He looks rough.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he's 100 years old. They're all 100 years old. But like,
good. I'm glad he's in it, though. I'm glad he's
this new one, man. I just don't want. And you know what? And again, I don't care about the feminist. I mean, it just doesn't.
You do.
Here's the thing: if it were Larry the Cable Guy, I would say the same thing. It doesn't belong. Like, imagine if there was a fucking Larry the Cable Guy droid in Star Wars. You'd be like, this is awful. What is this? This doesn't belong here.
Sure.
Get it out of my thing.
Sure.
That's exactly how I feel about this chick and all my stuff. It's just get out of my stuff. Like, there's no reason for you to point out like that it's like, what's wrong with it? Like, leave it alone.
I've never seen her in anything other than Solo, and that's
apparently she has a TV show that like is very good. Everyone said it's very good, and I should watch it. And but she did a rewrite on this.
Yeah,
like she came in and rewrote this movie.
Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Holy shit! All right, here we go.
I'm telling you, man.
Here we go.
Like, anyway,
what did I watch? I watched. I don't even know, man. I know I watched something this week. Oh, that's what I watched, dude. I watched Mannequin.
Oh, that movie kicks ass.
Yes, it does. So I loved that movie as a kid, but I haven't seen it. When I was watching it, I was like, wow, I haven't seen this in probably 35 years. It's 1987. When I was a kid, Hollywood.
Yeah.
What's his name? It just popped out of my head. Anyway, his sunglasses that he has, every scene, he's got a different pair. I had the ones that are a triangle and a oval.
Those are very cool,
dude. And I wore those everywhere. That movie was super influential on me. It was also after Gina Davis in Transylvania 65000, Kim Cattrall in Mannequin was like, that's my new girlfriend. She's so like perfect and sweet and charming, and like, and Andrew McCarthy is super.
Andrew McCarthy, so he's great. Where has he been, man? He's just still around. He did a documentary about the Brat Pack that's coming out, but like, really? Yeah, I wish he would have like a Renaissance man, because he's so like charismatic.
Yeah,
and he can play like he play a dirtbag in Weekend at Bernie's. He could play like
16 Candles or 16 Candles.
Yeah, I have a whole thing with that movie, but anyway,
Pretty in Pink.
It's one of those two. I get them mixed up.
Yeah,
but yeah, he's the shit. I grew up with Mannequin. Like, one of the movies I had with like on VHS, I would watch over and over again was Mannequin 2.
Christy Swanson.
Yeah, but Mannequin 2 is.
And what's his name from Fright Night?
The kid. Yeah.
Charlie Brewster.
Yeah, that's right. It's and Hollywood's in that one too.
Yeah,
I remember.
I'm gonna watch that.
Somebody brought up like somebody was describing Hollywood. Like, no, that's the gay black guy from Mannequin. And I was like, And I remember being younger, being like, he's not gay. You're like,
Well, dude, that's the
he's
thing.
clearly gay. And I'm like, why would you think he was gay? And it's
That
like,
totally, no, totally. That's what I. That's like he's an awesome. When you watch it now,
well, he doesn't have like a boyfriend or anything, is what I
he
mean.
talks about him though. He does
Oh,
talk
he
about it
does?
in the first one, but when
Okay.
you watch it now, obviously he's gay. He talks about his boyfriend, all this stuff, but he's arguably one of the pioneers of like that gay character sidekick guy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he's just Michon. His
What
first name
is
is
his
Michon.
fucking name?
Anyway, he's so awesome. But like you just said, when I was a kid, I wasn't thinking gay or straight. I was thinking that dude has awesome tasting sunglasses. And so I was so like, I
I
wore
just
those.
remember he was so charismatic. I was like,
Yeah,
like Hollywood's awesome.
Hollywood was awesome. Anyway, that movie was great. Also, James Spader is excellent as the villain in that.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
he is.
he's
Meshach
so
Taylor, by the way.
Meshach Taylor.
Meshach Taylor. That's what it was.
Um, and then one of the Golden Girls, I think, the little one.
In the first one,
Yeah, yeah, the little Golden Girl.
well, so there was Betty White, but it's not Betty
Not
White.
her.
There was Estelle Getty. She was
Who's
the
that?
really old one. She was the really old one, who was actually the youngest of the in real life, but she
It's
played.
not. It's
She
not.
played. So there was B. Arthur.
It's not B. Arthur.
The other one was. So the other one was Blanche.
Blanche is the one that dates a lot and talks like
Yeah,
she's really okay. So it's the other one that you said.
I
Right?
named them all.
What was the one you did?
Estelle Getty is
Estelle
the.
Getty. I think it's Estelle Getty.
She's the mom. Or she's the oldest.
Anyway, it's a great movie, man. It's so perfect. And check this out. It's got probably it's the greatest freeze frame credits ending that I like, is Breakfast Club,
Yeah.
Bender with his fist in the air, Simple Minds, don't you forget about me. Uh then I was always like number 2 is Planes, Trains and Automobiles, where
Yes.
every yeah,
Mhm.
every time you go away. But this dude has Starship, um oh my gosh, Starship, I forget the name of the song, but it's great, it's phenomenal. So it might have taken the set number 2 spot. um Great movie. Mannequin, dude, great
Yeah,
movie.
I should rewatch the original
Yeah, I want
because
that poster.
I'm sure the second one doesn't hold up. I'm sure if I watch like I might enjoy it, but
I'm gonna
the,
watch it because of Christy Swanson.
the second one's wild. Like in the it doesn't have anything to do. Well, it does that Hollywood's in it, but it's also like
Don't they go back in time or something?
no. So kind of
Or
they don't go back in time, but there's like the first one. It's just what's the deal? The mannequin. How does the mannequin come back to life in the first one?
in the first one, she's an Egyptian and she gets cursed or something,
Yeah,
and then to be a mannequin until she finds like the
right. And
right
then she
guy.
like wakes up, right?
Yeah, he
Like
puts her together. That's what he does for a living.
yeah, there's like an evil wizard in the second one,
Okay,
and she keeps. How's it go?
I don't know.
It's a bunch of shit, but yeah,
I'm gonna
I mean,
rewatch it.
yeah, watch it. I'd be
I'll
curious.
watch it and I'll talk about it next week.
Maybe I'll watch it too.
Yeah, that'll be our what'd you watch for next week,
Yeah,
man.
Gremlins 2 and then Mannequin. It'll be sequel talk, sequel
See,
hour.
that's awesome. All right. Speaking of, we should talk about what'd you watch, Gremlins 2.
Yeah,
Right?
let's get into it, man. Hang on, let
19
me get all my shit. Hang on.
Get
So
all your shit. Just get it in your lap.
I've got my Gremlin behind me.
I should get here. I'll grab mine.
I've oh okay. Go ahead.
Hold on, let me grab my Gremlin. All right.
Yeah.
So let me do I've never been able to tell the story of this one on anywhere public. So I'm wearing my 1984 Gizmo Gremlin puppet, and this is the exact one that I had as a kid. I had it my whole life. When I got my dog Mooj, who passed away a couple of years ago, it was her first and favorite toy to play with. One of her first, but favorite, because you put it on your hand and like any creature is gonna love to play with that. But then I don't know, sometime around like 2010 or whatever, one of my good friends had a kid, and I wanted to give the kid something that for to like that I had. I was like, this will be cool. So I gave this away to that kid. This ended up in their storage unit or something, whatever. And I told the guy literally 10 years later, I was like, hey, if you still got that Gremlins puppet, send it my way if nobody's using it. And he sent it back. Now I got it back. This thing's made the rounds, dude. It's been chewed up on the nose by Mooj, but this thing is awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
You've got which one you at?
So I've got the one I don't know what year they put this out. It's actually got, but yeah, they put this out a couple of years ago. This one's like cheap too. He's like, I'm not cheaply made, but it's like $20. It plays the song, and he moves.
Really? What the? Or is it the humming? Which
it's a humming.
Okay, that's awesome.
But yeah,
such a good tune.
But yeah, and then he moves around. It will play that until you turn it off. So it drives Lindsay. Lindsay hates Gremlins to begin with. And
really? Dude, she just needs her own podcast of all the garbage she loves.
So I've also got this is all the stuff I could find like right away.
Yeah.
I've got my brain gremlin, who's my favorite gremlin from in the whole series.
Yeah.
He's awesome. He comes with a pipe. He comes with a bunch of shit up there. I got this one that I made in my 3D printer. You can't see it. You know, this is probably a bad. But,
no, I'll post pictures of all of it on the page.
Okay. So I made this one in the 3D printer.
Dude, get out of here. Serious?
Yeah, it's pretty sick. Yeah, this one. And I was going to make it a bunch of them. I have a bunch of like random gremlin parts all over the place. This is the head of another one. That one, the color turned out a lot better.
Did you painted them?
Yeah, I painted. Yeah.
Dude, what does it take to print one of those? Like, is it like a huge job?
No, it's like 6 jobs though. Like, well, and you can make it any size you want. Like, this one, I scaled it up so that it would be that big. But
if you have the means to print another one of those,
yeah,
I would love to paint one up.
Yeah, I'll do it. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's 8 prints, but it's totally worth it.
Awesome. And yeah, I'll post pictures of all this stuff in the Patreon. I'll also post them in our Instagram story but they'll be, only 24 hours. But if you want to see the whole photo gallery, check out our Patreon. But you've also got the life size.
Oh yeah. And I've got the life size
guy behind you who looks insane. I got this. I don't know if you remember these. This is also vintage 84.
Those are awesome.
So like what is that? 4 inches tall. Mm-hmm. Turn his head. This guy came with me everywhere. It's Gizmo. He's like 4 inches tall. He's got 3 points of articulation. And then I've also there was a 3-pack of
that's sweet. It's
Gizmo
stripe,
Mogwai stripe, and then there's a Gremlins stripe, but I don't have that. So yeah, man, Gremlins was it was big, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about Gremlins 2.
Yeah. Which is a goddamn modern masterpiece, dude.
All right, so
I love Gremlins 2.
I know you do. Is it your favorite movie?
It's up there, man. I mean, I've got, I was thinking about today that I should get a Gremlins 2 poster. It's honestly one of the movies that I could watch them in a bad mood, like, and it'll put me in a better mood. Like, I don't have anything bad associated with this movie. It's just fucking awesome.
Cool.
And yeah, I was watching it today, just enjoying the shit out of it, man.
All right, well, I'm about to change all that for you. I don't like this movie.
That's wild, really,
dude. This is really weird. It's really weird. So I grew up with this movie too. I hadn't seen it in at least 20 years. I think as a kid, like I watched it and I was like, I love Gremlins. I love Gremlins too. It's just how it works. Gizmo is tortured for 2/3 of this movie, and I didn't realize that. And I don't like that. It was just weird. It was like, what are we doing? Like, what is this torturous? It was the Gremlin design is clearly different from the first movie. The first movie, I think, is, and I know you like the first movie too.
Yeah.
The first movie, I think, is far superior. There's a lot in this movie to enjoy in Gremlins 2.
It's not crazy to like the first one better. The first one's a real movie. Like, it's got this one is fucking batshit insane. Like,
this one is let's do everything we can do and just do it. The designs in this movie I can appreciate, although I don't like them as much as the first one. And I think because like there's the one who looks like he would beat his wife. Like, he's got fat lips and he smokes cigars and he's got a beer belly.
Oh, that's it's not George, but I know the one you're thinking of.
Yeah, and like,
oh, it is George. It is George.
That's his name, George the Gremlin.
Well, so the names in this one, like, nobody calls him the name in the it's not like Stripe in the first one. where he has a name. The names that like the toys are called and everything else, they come from the production staff.
Okay.
Yeah. So they had that's why his name's George. The one
There's
with the
Mohawk.
Yeah, that's why his name is Mohawk, because
But it's like stripe Mohawk, like I don't know.
Yeah, but it was like he's got a Mohawk. It was for like, hey, we have a giant like pile of parts. These are all the Mohawk. Like, just put Mohawk. The other two were named George and Lenny, from of Mice and Men,
Okay,
and then
yeah. All right.
and then Daffy is the one.
What's the one with the googly eyes always
That's
laughing?
Daffy. Yeah,
I really
I
hate
love that
guy.
one.
I know you do. I'm gonna say a couple other things that I don't like, and then I'm just gonna let you talk about everything that you love, because I don't want to take that away from you. I don't want to take that away from you. Yeah, that one is I like enough. I don't need it. They just felt the designs just felt like gross to me. Whereas in the first one, it was like, these are gremlins. These are the guys on the airplane wings. These are the ones in the engine. These guys felt more like if they were human, they felt a little too caricatures of humans, I guess. And then the other thing that really made me frustrated was Billy and what's Phoebe Cates? Kate?
Yeah.
They're idiots. They're not in the first movie. In the second movie, they are idiots. She like brings home Daffy thinking it's Gizmo. Are you kidding me?
Well, she doesn't know Gizmo. She didn't interact with Gizmo.
She took his temperature. She took his temperature.
You're right. Yeah. She doesn't know. Like, she's
no,
not.
Man, she knew. She knew Gizmo. She knew Gizmo. She's an idiot in this movie. Billy goes out to eat with his boss, comes back with lipstick on his face, and she doesn't do anything. She's a pushover.
She sees it and like,
she's like, you're gonna be in trouble if we live through. Get out of here with that.
Yeah, I mean,
should have slapped him in the face. Billy is like, he finds Gizmo after however many years and is just kind of like, oh, it's good to see you, buddy. What's this armband, buddy? Like, blah blah blah. And then he's like, hey, can you just go take care of him? Can you go get him and take him home? We're in the middle of New York. There's water everywhere. There's sunlight everywhere. There's food everywhere. He's an idiot.
That was a dumb. You know what? It never dawned on me until this time how dumb a move that was. Because he tells her, because she like apologizes for getting the wrong gremlin, and he goes, "It was my fault. I shouldn't have left him there."
Because you're an idiot.
But like, it never dawned on me until this viewing, and it's not like I haven't seen this movie in years. I watch this movie at least like 3 or 4 times a year.
Yeah,
and like, it did dawn on me. I'm like, yeah, man, why would you leave him there? Like, I mean, he did care
about him. Like,
well, he did have that. Well, not that, just not even do you care about him, but like
responsibility. Sure,
it's so insane to leave like one by himself. But like, I mean, he had a meeting with his boss. He had to go.
You pretend you're sick and you just bolt. You take him, you bolt, you get out of there.
Yeah.
But yeah, the way they wrote their characters, I was like, they were diminished in my mind. But the thing with Gizmo, man, torturing him I pressed pause when he finally escaped and turns into Rambo, and I think there was only like 25-30 minutes left in the movie.
Well, they do that in the first one too,
but it's not like, all the more reason why are we doing it again, Gizmo? Like, get out of there. But it was different in the first one. In the first one, it was like, these guys are monsters and they just broke out. In this one, it's more like, it's like a weird fucking circus. But on top of that, it starts off with Mr. Wing being bullied, and then he dies. He's still in his shop and he dies. And Gizmo's just sitting in there by himself in his cage with the door open, like sad as fuck.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh. And then all of a sudden it gets demolished. Like, the ball comes through, and there's nobody on earth who cares to like take Mr. Wing's belongings, his antiques and all that. They just demolish it. Are you kidding me? And Gizmo's in there when it happens. And then the rest of the movie is just tortured. And I was like, I don't remember this. Get out of here. But there's other stuff that I appreciated. So I'll let you take it.
I'll tell you this too, man. Like, I mean, every time I watch it, just like the Gizmo puppet, or like the stop motion, or like just the effects in this one are miles above the first one. Where like the first one, it's great, but like, you could tell a lot of it's stop motion. You could tell a lot of it is there's so much shit in this where I'm like, how the fuck are they doing that?
Hmm.
Like the dance scene, I think they shot that on a green screen and then like put it in because it looks a little bit like
Where
with the
he's dancing on the table.
yeah, with the twins.
Yeah,
Like
it's you can tell
that one
it's
looks a
not really
little
there.
yeah. But besides that, there's whole scenes where I'm like, man, how are they getting him to move like that?
Well, they this is Baby Yoda. They pioneered that shit. Like
Yeah.
everything they're doing with Grogu right now, they should
Mhm.
be sucking Gizmo's dick, right? Because of it's like you would not be doing that. Like they did this in 1991. You're just now getting around to it.
Yeah, that's
But
true. I
yeah,
mean, that's the thing. Like every time I'm watching this, I'm like, man, where would we be if we just didn't hit that giant CGI detour?
right.
And like the Gremlins all look amazing. Like the way they move, the way they like blink, and they just
Well, that's one credit to Star Wars coming back around. Dark
yeah.
Crystal, all those. There's a lot of that coming back around.
But yeah, I like the Gremlins better in this one because they're so much more like and yeah, not just the variations. I mean, there's a million different
Right,
types of gremlin in this one, but that even before they start breaking into the genetics lab, which is a whole nother level,
right.
they all look different. They all look like a different person. You know what I mean? Like or a different gremlin. Like you
In
can
the
you can see a gremlin in one shot, and then 45 minutes later see that same gremlin in another shot and be like, oh, that's the one that was in the kitchen earlier. Like like they have that distinctive look.
you think in the
uh
first one, you probably know this, but in the first one, was it just one mold
it had to be
and they
because
just
they
dressed
all
them up differently?
yeah, even when they are distinct, like the flasher gremlin or the one with the ski, like yeah,
But
and they
those
just
are just
put
costumes. Yeah,
they just put costumes on the same puppet basically,
I
like I
kind
think
of like that better when it comes to Gremlins, though, because they all came. Well, I mean, when you the concept of them all coming from Gizmo and then Stripe event
hmm
subsequently jumps into the pool and they all come from him. So I like them all being copies of him.
hmm
But I appreciate what they did in this movie, like what you're saying. Like, me, I'm a fucking toy maker. So like everything Rick Baker did is genius. Absolutely. It's just the movie has this weird, creepy, sad, gross vibe to it. Christopher Lee was awesome.
oh, he's awesome. And I never even knew that was Christopher Lee until like
Yeah.
I mean, I knew it was, but he's one. I always used to get him like his part confused, not confused with Reanimator, but you know how like the doctor in Reanimator isn't Christopher Lee,
Right.
but like
The headless guy.
yeah, but it looks exactly like him. It sounds
He
exactly
even
like him.
sounds like him. Yeah.
I always applied that to Gremlins too,
Okay.
where it's like yeah, Christopher Lee's not in it, but it's the guy that looks exactly like him, and not that I didn't think it was the actor from Reanimator, but I always applied that to. I always forget to actually Christopher
As a
Lee.
kid, we didn't know the greater movie going audience didn't know who Christopher Lee was until Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
you
And
know?
he's got, yeah,
But
there's a deleted, yeah,
I mean, Christopher Lee, obviously, I don't need to say he goes way back. He's like one of the greatest Draculas ever in the Hammer movies.
yeah.
Uh,
There's a deleted scene where he like makes a not a Dracula joke, but he makes a joke about like sucking blood, like and
really,
stuff. Yeah. And it's like a big yeah. The deleted
he's
scenes are in this are really good.
he's great because he doesn't really do anything outstanding, but he's like this cool. It's a weird role for him. It's a unique role for him when you look at what else he's done. It's
Yeah.
almost even though he's a mad scientist, it's very tame, you
And
know.
it's comedic. It's like,
Yeah.
and I mean he plays it straight, but it's totally comedic. Like he and I just love. And what's so weird about this movie, what's so cool about it is that like nothing on paper like should work. Like I okay, so the idea that like you have a Ted Turner slash Donald Trump guy.
John
Okay.
Glover is another. He's my favorite part.
He's yeah, he's maybe the best part of the
But
movie
he always
besides the
plays
gremlin.
this character. He was this character in
Blank Man.
and Scrooged,
Yeah.
and the only time he well, he kind of was this too. He was the big villain in Fear the Walking Dead 2 seasons ago,
I didn't get me that far.
and he was Lex Luthor, and he was.
Yep.
It's always the same. Well, I guess those are a little different, but this eccentric billionaire. But this was the
But
best.
he's so likable. In fact,
Yeah.
when they wrote it, like they wrote him to be a little bit more sinister and like a lot less likable. But then like once they got John Glover and John Glover was doing his thing, they kind of had to rewrite it. Like they were
I'm glad they did.
They were like, he's so charismatic and so that it would be dumb to make him the villain. Like
I like that we like him in this movie.
Yeah. And but like he's also not a great guy, but he's not like
he's aloof. And it's like
and like I just love like when he's like planning a parade for himself, like and shit. Like he's so rich and just like
well, he's up in his office and he like runs out of things to do and he's looking through the not microscope, but the telescope, and he's just kind of kicking around in his office like, what do we do now? Like,
let's take a memo and then
are we shredding stuff? Let's shred stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's I just love the idea that like, and it seemed so crazy at the time, like, oh my god, a whole channel dedicated to archery. Like, could you imagine? And it's like, yeah, I can't. Like now,
actually,
that's
especially
that probably exists. Like that's a joke that like, oh look, it's the archery or a whole channel dedicated to cooking. Like it's
look how prescient this movie is when you look at what's going on today. This is 1991,
dude. No shit. In the deleted scenes, there are multiple deleted scenes where they mention that Daniel Clamp's going to run for president.
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot of deleted scenes where they keep bringing it up.
That's hilarious.
What he does is he like pumps subliminal messages into the building.
Yeah.
And like he's like, or it's Picardo. Picardo is like, he's like, let me hear the subliminal messages, and it's just people like background voices being like, I think Mr. Clamp would make an excellent president, like stuff like that. And like
there's a scene in this movie that I've been wondering. I remembered it as a kid, and I've been wondering what movie it's in because I didn't realize it was in this, but at the end when the SWAT team comes in and he's leading the SWAT team, the hut,
yeah,
and the door's locked.
And he goes, okay,
the door's next door. Hut. I didn't realize. I was like, what movie is that in? So I'm so glad I know now.
You know what got me this time, and again, I've seen the movie 100 times, and I laughed out loud when they go in. And the SWAT team's like, oh, what the fuck? And like the one like guts like shoot up and the guy shoots it with it.
Yeah, it moved, sir. But the best is Glover's response is like, he's like, hey, what are we doing? And he's like, it moved, sir. And he's like, oh, okay, that's good. That's a good thing. I think he says like, that's a good thing. Picardo
was awesome.
He's good. I was hoping for more. It was kind of
he probably got cut the most out of.
Really?
He's got a ton of deleted scenes. Yeah,
I mean, I love Picardo, but I feel like he didn't really get to do a lot.
He didn't get to like chew the scene or really be. The scene where he kind of is like pissy with. I like him as the villain.
Oh, with Billy and when he's looking at his plants and stuff.
Yeah.
Where and then the other positive point for me was Dick Miller.
Yeah, Dick Miller, man.
Just because he's awesome. And I love that, like, I when I was thinking, they mentioned him at the beginning, they go, the Futtermans are coming to visit. I was like, wait, they survived? And because I totally forgot that he was in this, and his wife. So that's cool that, and they give there's an exposition dump about like, yeah, they got hurt, but they made it out and blah, blah, blah.
See, I saw this one way more when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So like every time I watched Gremlins 1, I never took it that they died because I watched this one so much and I knew out,
the last time we see him in Gremlins,
is
the tractors coming through the wall.
Right. It's implied they're dead for sure.
Yeah.
And Dick Miller was like good buddies with Joe Dante. It was why.
Really? Yeah. But this is another perfect example. Is like you've got the Futterman, like you've got a scene with the Futtermans, and then the Bat Gremlin attacks, and like it's gnarly, it's brutal what he does to Mr. Futterman. He scratches his head
Yeah.
like, and I was like, that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about that this movie does that the first one wouldn't have done to a character like Mr. Futterman, where it's like, we're gonna fuck you up and we're gonna show that you're getting fucked up. That to me it's a turnoff in a movie like Gremlins 2.
I don't know. I thought the first one was like scarier, and I thought there were a
It
lot more
is.
like brutal. Like they kill way more people in
The first one is scarier, but the chaos that they do is more gremlin like to me. In this one, it's more horror movie, I think.
I don't know. It's weird. They're definitely more like Looney Tunes in this one. Like,
well, that's straight up the opening, but
yeah, which is wild to me. Like, that's what's so nuts.
What's the point of that opening?
Joe Dante just wanted to do it with Chuck Jones. He was friends with Chuck Jones. It's what
Okay.
It's crazy. The whole thing, the whole movie's nuts in that, like, it just how it would never happen today. Like, the studio, it was a huge hit, and the studio hated it. Like, the studio didn't like the movie, but they were like,
when it was done.
Yeah, when they were making it, they didn't like the movie when it was done, but it made a shitload of money. So right away, they went to Joe Dante and they were like, "Hey, do you want to make a second one?" And he was like, "No, like, it's done." Also, Joe Dante is insane, like a man of integrity. He was the first choice to direct Batman. Like, they were, they were doing a Batman movie. They were developing it with him, before Tim Burton, and he pulled out because he was like, my heart's not in it, man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he's like, I'm more interested in like other things. And
Volcano.
No, he was he said he was more interested in the Joker in this interview. He's like, he's like, I didn't want to make a movie about Batman. It wasn't interesting to me.
But Batman is about the Joker. Like, Batman's a side note in that movie.
But he was like, you need to find somebody better, which is wild. Anyway, so the studio was like, okay, he doesn't want to do it. They tried to make it for like a couple of years, like with other directors, like Gremlins 2. They pitched it to other directors, and everybody was kind of like, I don't know, man. It's kind of a certain vibe, and I can't really put my finger on it, and they couldn't, whatever. And then something happened with, I mean, this is like 5 years after the first one, I think.
91, 84. So it's 6 years.
Yeah, it'd been a while.
7 years.
And I think what happened was their one of their big summer blockbuster movies like fell through and wasn't going to be released in time or at all. And they just went to him and said, "Dude, if you do Gremlins 2, you literally have the green light to do anything you want. We don't care what you do. We will completely leave you alone." And he was like, they're like, "You can hire who you want. We would stay." And he was like, "Yeah, okay." And like, and everything about, like you said, he went, "Hey, I want to have a Chuck Jones opening and closing of the movie." Like, okay.
I want to have a Hulk Hogan fourth wall.
So that scene's always weird to me because,
of course, it's a weird scene.
Well, but it's only in the theatrical cut.
Oh, really?
So like, yeah, in which now when you watch it on DVD, like it's one of those things where if you watch the widescreen version, you get the Hulk Hogan version, right? But if you watch the full screen, which is like the one that was on home video,
right?
Actually, I don't know if this is the case with the full screen of whatever, but when they put it on video, which is the version I had, and when they put it on like HBO and stuff, it's different. It's they fight John Wayne. So what they do, yeah, it's a totally different scene because they were like, well, it wouldn't make sense that they break the projector. If you're watching this at home, there's no projector. So they did it's a whole different thing. And so when like they're making the shadow puppets,
right?
They do that scene, but it's all static, and they're making the shadow puppets in static, like a VHS tape would do. And then they show a bunch of other movies that Gremlins are like in, and then they're in a John Wayne movie, and they like splice together footage of John Wayne, and he's like, you scout, and some guy's doing a voiceover of John Wayne,
superimpose the Gremlins in it or something.
No, so they basically take old footage from a John Wayne movie and they dub over like a John Wayne impression. Like, so, and it looks like he's saying it kind of, where he's like, "Hey, you got to get back in your movie. Everybody wants to get whatever." And like, There's a bunch of gremlins dressed up like cowboys, and they play the clip, and he starts shooting at them, and it's just clips from another John Wayne movie,
Yeah.
spliced together with clips of the gremlins shooting at
Okay.
him, and it works. It's
That
fun.
sounds vaguely familiar. Maybe I've seen that. That's in the director's cut.
No, that's in the home video version,
Oh, okay.
which is it's funny because that was the more widely released one when I was a kid, but now the Hulk Hogan one is the one everybody knows. It's why like I didn't see the Hulk Hogan one until it came out on DVD. And I
Wow.
remember being like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Why Hulk Hogan
Is
in this?
is that the only really big change between the two?
Yeah, I think it's the only change.
Okay. Yeah, that's bananas, dude. That's really weird. Voice wise, you always knew Gizmo was Howie Mandel, right?
Yeah. It's one of those things I know and forget, like, but yeah, I did know.
Which is
like,
weird because there's no way to tell it's him. And it could have been, I think anybody could have done that voice.
Yeah. It's
I
him
used
in both movies. Too.
Yeah. Also, Frank Welker does some of the voice work in this. I think he's obviously some of the Gremlins. Frank Welker is Megatron,
Yeah.
and a bunch of other stuff. He's a voice actor from the 80s. Awesome voice actor. I don't
Tony
know,
Randall
man.
does the voice of Brain.
Tony Randall,
Tony Randall, yeah.
like the Tony Randall. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's a weird thing to cast like voice act like.
Well, I didn't know
actors.
who Tony Randall was when I was a kid. It was just like
The Odd Couple, right? That Tony Randall.
yeah. But I didn't know. Like that was just the voice of Brain.
It's weird. Oh, that was Brain. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the only one that speaks English, so yeah.
He's the fucking best. When he shoots that gremlin in the face, when he's wearing when the gremlin like pops up. That's the other thing about it that I love about this one is when the gremlins are just going ape shit.
Yeah.
I just love it. Like that one gremlin was wearing like a pinwheel on his head, or like, and he's just crazy, or like, and that's why I love Daffy. Like when he picks up Daffy when he's still like like a furry gremlin, and he's like losing his shit.
Yeah.
As a kid, I was like, that is so awesome. Like,
dude, that's when I was watching this, and I was like, stop! Everybody, just stop! Throw him in the garbage, please. Like, it's insane, dude. It's just like he's just. It's just bananas. It's like the peak ADD, like insanity. I don't know what, but like, I mean,
but
it's
like
awesome for the like that. Every gremlin who's a character in this, like they nailed that character. It's just like, I think it's just my problem is just with those characters they chose to portray. It was like a little too much or something, but
I love it. One of the things. Do you ever have like things you quote all the time that no one ever knows?
Sure.
Not even know, but everybody would like. My three big ones, man, are I say to my kids constantly.
You're talking to a guy who quotes Wilford Brimley regularly, like, on a daily basis.
I do, yeah. I do the go play from Ninja Turtles all the time. That Tatsu says to the kid where he goes, "Go play."
Yeah, I have no idea what that is.
Oh, he's at the arcade, and like this little kid, remember Tatsu, like the like sidekick to the Shredder in Ninja Turtles 1?
Yeah.
The bald guy.
Yep.
Some kid like runs into him, and like he like gives
I
him
remember
a dirty
that
look, and then he just goes, "Go play." And I say that to my kids all the time. And then so it's that. The Roadhouse thing. I used to fuck guys like you in prison, and then.
You say that to people?
I'll bring that up and people don't know what it is. Like
Roadhouse is the bomb, dude.
And then the other one that I say all the time, I know is it's just how they say microwave. I love how I like when
who says it?
I think it's George the Gremlin. Like when they start throwing the pans in there, and he goes, microwave. like it's the only time like any of them really talk, and he just goes microwave. I love it. It's the best.
You ever hear that? I don't know who it is, man. It's some like uppity precious British cooking chick. She says microwave.
No, I've never heard that before. That's insane.
It's
man.
insane. insane. I think she also says something else she says. I think it's like quesadilla.
Instead of quesadilla.
Yeah.
That's nuts. Microwave.
Microwave. Get the fuck out of here.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna steal that, man. I'm gonna say that all the time.
I'll find a clip. I'll find a clip. It's
And
insane. Um,
uh but man, yeah, this flick, it's
you see what I'm saying about specifically Phoebe Cates' character, how they made her an idiot.
kind
They
of
even
here's
like
the thing.
everybody's like everyone in this is like Billy and her are like caricatures of themselves from the first movie. So
Yeah,
like
but
she goes into that
everybody is,
she goes into that she starts going into the spiel uh
Lincoln's
about
birthday.
president, yeah, Lincoln's birthday, and
Yeah.
Billy's like, okay, honey, I don't think
He's like,
everybody wants
we
to
don't
hear
have time for this right now.
yeah,
I think
but
he
when
even
she
says
does it
like,
in the first one, it's genius because
but
the
it's out of
movie's
nowhere and like
exactly
kind of
like the
stops the
movie's the
movie
movie's
dead.
going, and then all of a sudden it stops dead, and she
Yeah.
starts going into this, and it makes that movie turn, and it's
And
eerie,
it's an
and it's like,
insane story. Like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
here's the thing.
That's why
Here's
it's
the
a horror. It's like a legit horror movie.
I would never if someone didn't like this movie, especially if they love the first one. Like if I
Like
loved
me.
the first, yeah, yeah, but yeah, exactly. You saw the first one and then saw this one and was like, "What is this shit?" I don't even remember which one I saw first. I think I saw the second one first, honestly, but it was it just like I get why it would be like I almost feel like there should be an alternate Gremlins 2, which is like a real sequel to Gremlins 1. You know what I mean? Instead of this like let's get weird. Let's experiment with the entire let's make fun of sequels in general. Let's make
Yeah,
fun of our own friend,
yeah.
like and
It's very
it's
self-aware.
bold.
It's very
Yeah.
bold. It's very self-aware. Um, I mean, I loved this movie as a kid because it's got everything in it is for the kid, the kids of that time. Especially if that kid was familiar with the first movie. It's like this took everything from the first movie and turned it into what kids would want.
Yeah.
But the intelligence of it is definitely for the adults. So yeah, it's crazy self-aware.
And it has yeah, it's like that Bugs Bunny humor too, but it has like this like edge to it. Like when he grabs like there's a vial that says like it's a jar of acid. It says and it has a label that says do not throw in face.
Yeah.
And then he picks it up and like this gremlin picks it up and like looks at it and just throws it in the gremlin's face like immediately.
It becomes Phantom of the Opera
Yeah,
too. Right? So
exact. And like they just do these jokes that like again like shouldn't really work and they
yeah.
just and maybe they don't but like because I saw it at an age where it's like oh like I saw it before I knew movies could be bad and I man
It's not a bad movie though. That's the thing. It's like a ambitious, creative, very smart movie. It just I don't know. It's just not what I want for a Gremlins sequel because it's a pretty big departure. But I do love, and that's a big part of it too. Is I love that they went to New York for this. Like
yeah
I love a good like '80s, early '90s New York movie, especially you know something like this, which is based out of the '80s. Um, I just I don't know. It's just not.
you know what I like about this franchise too that they never like how do you put it they put it this way if you were going to put it in New York like okay we're going to make Gremlins 2 and it's going to be in New York they are smart enough to keep it in the building because like if they get out of the building it's game over like the
Right.
world ends
Right.
you know what I mean
Yeah.
and uh, I don't think if they made it today or even like another they wouldn't be able to show that restraint it's you know what I mean like it's they would have
Yeah.
they and then but they would still try and put the genie back in the bottle and it's like no there is or like I don't ever want to make Gremlins 3 because I think they're gonna have to turn Gizmo, you know?
Mhm. That would be if they made a Gremlins 3 instead of like a reboot, like a remake, which I think is the route they would go. But if they Well, who's in control of this? Is Dante still in control, or
No, he doesn't own it or anything. I mean, the
nobody? So
studio
it's
owns it,
totally studio.
and it's Warner Brothers now, and Warner Brothers will literally make anything that people will see. Like,
I think that's going to change because of the DC thing with James Gunn. I think they're going to start putting out stuff that like they'll be able to breathe a bit, take a breath. But I don't know, man. I just feel like if they made a third movie, um, it would like they'd have to like level up. Um, I don't know. I think it would be more. It would. I think it would be more like this. It would be more in the zany thing. If they rebooted it and just started like a remake, starting over, I think they would go crazy dark. I think it would be
yeah,
like. I think they would do what they did with like the Evil Dead remake, from 2016 or whatever it was,
yeah,
where it's
I see
like
what you
where it's like
mean.
just crazy gore. I don't think they go like that heavy, but they would do a monster,
I don't know.
not a kids movie.
I don't know what they would do. I think that's why they haven't done it. Is like they can't put their finger on the pulse of what Gremlins.
Right.
I think when people think of Gremlins, they think of this one,
I
but
don't think so.
I think they think of the plot of the first one, but like the Gremlins themselves, like how wacky they are, and even what they look like. I think they think of Gremlins too. You know,
Interesting.
I don't know. I mean, that's
I think they still, um, I think optics wise, the first one, I mean, when you think of a gremlin, you think of Gizmo and you think of Stripe, period.
I
I
see.
think
I
it's
think
like
first thing I think of is that Gremlin in the Shredder, like that because he's green. He looks like the Gremlin. You
in
know what I
this
mean?
one, in this movie.
The one that is in Clamp's office.
Yeah.
I feel like that one is the definitive. That's what Gremlins look like, and every other one is a variation of it. If that makes sense.
I know what you're saying. I just think like the design from the first one, whether it's Stripe with the mohawk or just
Mhm.
that gremlin, I think it's just more traditional. That's one thing about if you take the basic gremlin from the first one, the design, and you take the basic gremlin from this movie, which is what you have there, right?
Yeah.
There's a distinct difference. I noticed that there's more, these gremlins in this movie have way more contrast. Um, Lighter parts with really darker parts, especially around the eye and like facial features. There's a lot of like black and really dark contrasting colors.
Yeah.
Whereas in the first one, that they have that as well, but they aren't as pronounced. It's almost like these have like an inked outline on all their around them all. Whereas the
Yeah.
first one, it was just like green. That's all you think about.
Yeah.
Um, and that's why it's more of a general image. That's why I feel like people think of that. But I just, if they did a third movie, I think it would feel at least like in in this universe of two and one and two. But if they did a reboot, it would be not our Gremlins, you know.
Yeah.
And
It
and
wouldn't exactly. I
yeah,
didn't even think of that. That if they remade it, I never even thought that they would go for like a vibe change, but you would never be able to recreate because one and two the vibe is totally different. So like if you're gonna
yes,
remake one, yeah, it would. I don't know.
they would. If I mean, they wouldn't follow the same story. They do small town, blah blah blah, but it would be like a hard PG-13, almost R movie. I think very
Yeah,
dark.
and the Gremlins would be all CGI. It would be
Maybe, maybe not. I don't know, but I could see them, like you said, turning Gizmo in that movie in a third movie in the franchise, a third sequel. They wouldn't turn Gizmo. I don't think
I think they have to. I think
they
yeah,
would they
you
wouldn't
know
ruin that. They wouldn't ruin that IP. They wouldn't ruin that character for marketing purposes only. But
I don't
if you
know.
reboot, you reboot. You can do anything. But if you're continuing the franchise, dude, Gizmo is your
Oh
marketing,
sure, but
merchandising, gold mine. You're not going to turn him into a bad guy.
no. Well, I'm not saying that's the other thing is like all the Gremlins are assholes
True.
before they change. So hypothetically, yeah, he could be all scaly and still good. You
You think
know,
it would be like this thing where it's like the only way to save the day is for him to turn? So
yeah,
he
it would be
so that
something
he
like that, and it would be melodramatic bullshit like it always is in these fucking new movies, and it would just be Yeah, I hope they never make it, man.
Yeah.
I really, I'm shocked.
I wouldn't mind a third movie. I do not want a remake, but I wouldn't mind a third movie.
I don't want any of it, man, because it's almost it's
As
it's
long as
almost
Dante's involved
unless he's directing. If
and
he's
Billy.
directing, if he's directing, I'll take the like. You know what? Even if I don't like it, it's like, well, that's what he wanted to do. So,
Yeah.
and they're his movies, as far
Yeah.
as I'm concerned. So, yeah, unless if Joe Dante isn't directing, I'm not interested. I don't think I'd even see it.
Yeah. Speaking of, dude, friend of the show, Zach Galligan.
Yeah.
We need to reach out to him and be like, I'd love to pick his brain about this. I know he gets that all the time, but
He was really cool about it when I talked to him, but I asked him a bunch of questions. I asked him dumb questions too, and he
yeah,
was cool about it.
I
Yeah.
could
I
see
asked
that.
him like, well, hey, what was it? I asked him like what was it like working with Picardo? I asked him like which one he likes better. He said he likes the first one better.
Yeah. So he
And
knows
he's like,
what's up.
because he's like, the second one's just so nuts, man.
Yeah.
He's like, it really, I'm like, did you guys know it was gonna be that nuts when you were making it? And he's like, not really. He's like,
Yeah.
you know, because he has, I mean, think about it, he doesn't have any scenes with like the vegetable gremlin or like any of the like really wacky shit. Like
Yeah.
he's like, I didn't really, he's like, no, I like the first one better. And then I asked him about Ricardo. He's like, yeah, that guy's awesome. I've worked with him a bunch. And then
I'd want to ask him about Glover.
I should have.
John Glover.
Oh, I was, yeah. He was, Galligan was also on an episode of Star Trek Voyager,
Seriously,
but Picardo's a regular
yeah,
on Voyager. He plays
yeah,
the doctor.
yeah.
So I was like, that's what I want to know about. I'm like, what was that like, man? Like, you guys
Were they
knew each
on an
other?
episode together?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And like, it was like, I wanted to be like, did you get to that job or how'd that work? But like,
Yeah.
I don't, yeah. But, but he was just like, no, Bob's cool.
Yeah. Bob. Picard.
Red Letter Media, when they were first starting, interviewed Robert Picardo.
Yeah.
I found this out after I talked to him talked to Zach Galligan, but he was interviewing Robert Picardo about the same thing. Like, hey, you were in Gremlins 2 with Zach Galligan, and you were in an episode of Star Trek Voyager with him. Like,
yeah.
Can you talk about that? And then Robert Carter just talked about like how actors that like totally didn't really answer the question, but like
really?
kind of, yeah. They added it to like be like, he started. It's kind of.
I wonder if they're like friends or not friends. I don't know.
I don't know, but it was. Yeah, if Zach Galligan comes to Flashback again, I'll ask him something better.
Yeah.
I really want to get my DVD or poster signed by John Glover. Like,
does John Glover make the rounds? I would love to meet.
Yeah, he goes to
horror.
I don't know if he does horror conventions, but he definitely does like Comic Cons. Who else is in it? I could definitely get Picardo. I should get all these fuckers to sign.
Can you give me a date with Phoebe Cates?
No, dude, she doesn't even do movies, and she's married to Kevin Kline.
For real, man.
Yeah,
Kevin Kline gets them all.
Dude, she's been retired for like ever.
Yeah,
she did Drop Dead Fred, and then was like, I'm done.
Yeah, good for her. All right, man.
That's my sister's favorite movie of all time.
Drop Dead Fred. I think my sister loves that movie too. I don't know why. It's a sister movie.
Yeah.
I don't want to cut you short, but we do have Krull. Is there anything else that you need to squeeze out of this?
No, man. I love the movie.
I know you do. I was afraid I don't want to.
No, I mean, you're not going to convince me it's bad, but like, yeah. I get the why,
Yeah. Barney wasn't in this. The dog. I wonder what happened to him. I would have liked to see him again. All right, man. Gremlins 2. Wow. What a fun. Again, it's not a bad movie. It's just
masterpiece.
Rubs me. It just rubs me the wrong way. And I don't hate it either. I just wasn't enjoying watching.
It's not for everybody,
I think if you love the first one, you don't necessarily love this one, but
yeah, I agree. I mean, if you like the second one better, you could still like the first one. If you like the first one better, I feel like you have to be a little disappointed by this one, Yeah,
it's weird, but it makes total sense why you like it.
Yeah, it's absurd. The whole movie is just absurd.
Yeah. All right, man. All right, part 2 of our Ghostbusters Gremlins anniversary 75th episode of Kevin's Name. We're talking about Krull, 1983, man.
Yep.
Let's see. So Krull, I don't remember the first time I saw this movie, but I've loved it since I was a kid. I love like the sorcery movies that came out around this time. Dragon
Yeah.
Slayer, uh,
Beastmaster. Like,
Beastmaster. Dude,
dude, I'm glad you said Dragon Slayer. Like, because that movie kicks
that
ass.
movie's effects are insane. They still hold up. I
Yeah.
I don't know what that dragon is. It looks like a real fucking thing.
Yep.
I still don't know what that is, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about Lord of the Rings. I mean, Krull. You know, this movie is just straight up Lord of the Rings, right?
See, it's funny. Like, I mean, sort of.
And I
It
know you're a
is, I
huge Lord of the
guess.
Rings fan, but
Well, you know what's funny is like when I was a kid. eh, You know what bugs me about this movie? I mean, I know not about the movie, but like it's
you like
got
this
this.
movie, right?
I love it. I
Okay,
love it.
yeah,
But
it's great.
like I love it in the way that like it's
It's got your name.
well, yeah, it's a weird relationship I've had with it, like forever. But it's also like it's kind of got this reputation as a so bad it's good movie.
No, it is not that.
Yeah,
I know
I
I know
know.
what you're
I
talking
don't
about.
understand
Yeah,
it, but people will be like, "Oh yeah, like crawl, like whatever." And like, I'm not saying that it can't be this. This I feel like would be a perfect movie to remake. You know what I mean?
sure.
Like, don't remake Planet of the Apes or Willy Wonka. Those are
Right.
like, this is a movie that like is pretty good and has some cool concepts that you could improve upon. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
and make into something better. You know,
Yeah.
like,
Dude, it's directed by Peter Yates,
yeah,
who in this is 83, I believe in 78. He directed Breaking Away, the bicycle movie,
I've never seen that.
which was nominated for 11 Oscars, including big Best Picture, Best Director. It won Best Screenplay. So this guy's legit.
Yeah, he directed The Friends of Eddie Coyle. Yeah, I mean, he's
Yeah, like it's got a cast. I don't know. Do we know Ken Marshall from other stuff?
I do.
What?
Uh Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
God damn it.
he he's a
Star Trek is a dumping ground for like
well, I didn't even know it was him until like I
he
looked him
plays
up
like a
like
ball
a
of
couple of years
snot.
ago. No,
So
he's like oh no, he has like a recurring role as he basically forms this not rebellion, but this like this group of like freedom fighters or terrorists, depending on how you look at it. And it's like this. It's pretty awesome. It's a pretty awesome storyline. He's in probably 10 episodes.
yeah.
But he's
How
the shit.
so what this is how what year is that ish about?
I'd say like 93,
Okay.
maybe. Yeah,
So it's a
90.
good 10 years after this or so. I mean, the guy had to have
Oh
done
yeah,
other
I
stuff.
didn't know it was him. He's bald. He doesn't look
Okay.
anything like him in this.
But I wonder like before this, I don't know. He's awesome. I mean,
He's actually I like him. He's fine.
your favorite
However,
actor because he's the lead in Krull.
but I've
your name.
always thought that because Liam Neeson's in this too,
Right.
and Liam Neeson just has this like charisma to him, and maybe
Sure.
it's because I know Liam Neeson already,
Right.
but I've always felt like if Liam Neeson played this part, the movie would have been a little more. You know, like I don't know what it is. He kind of has this like he's fine, he works, but like he's got this like Jake Sully from Avatar, like this Sam Worthington like
Yeah.
blank slate
Yeah.
like create the first thing that comes up when you make like a create a guy in a video game. It's just like
No, yeah, that's spot on. That's
default
spot on.
default
Yeah.
main guy, you
Yeah.
know, and like
Jake Sully is absolutely that.
Yeah.
Or what's the actor's name? What's Jake Sully's name?
Sam
Worthington.
Worthington. Yeah.
Perfect. In fact, if they remade this, he would play him.
Yeah. And it's always just like like whatever. Like, and that's I wish.
Which is crazy that they touted Sam Worthington as like the next big thing. You know, like Terminator. He was in that Terminator movie, which I love.
Yeah.
He was
I hate
in
that one. But
Avatar,
anyway.
like all like that Schwarzenegger. I don't know, it's crazy, but he would totally play this dude. Liam Neeson. It's got Where's my cast? Hold on.
I got
Robbie
it.
Coltrane, like really young Robbie Coltrane,
Yep.
dude.
Yep.
What's his name? Hagrid,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Hagrid. Yeah.
He
When
just
I
passed
was.
away was it last year?
Oh, he did. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Rest in peace. Um, Freddie Jones is the old man.
Yep.
Weiner. I don't know what Wiener or something. I forget his character. Who's if you look him up, man, that dude was in some stuff. The one who dies after visiting the Spider Lady.
Yeah.
Who else is in there? Lisette Anthony is the woman, is the princess who
She was in a bunch of stuff
she
too.
did stuff.
She's in Dracula Dead and Loving It.
Yeah,
She's in stuff.
yeah. Music by James Horner. I think that's it for the cast. I mean, everybody in there you recognize pretty much. Liam Neeson, man, though, like this is 83. I recently watched an episode of Miami Vice from 86 where he plays an IRA terrorist and he looks younger in that than he does in this. It's probably the facial hair, but uh young Liam Neeson is a weird thing to look at for some reason. I don't know why. Um
He still
yeah,
looks like somebody's dad, you know?
yeah, yeah. What else? I don't know who the guy I saw him. I watched a behind the scenes featurette on YouTube, which was decent, but also lacked like a lot of stuff that I wanted to hear about, but especially like effects wise. But the guy who plays the Cyclops,
Oh God, he's got the best IMDb photo. Here, I'm gonna
really?
pull it. Oh yeah, that's his IMDb photo.
Holy shit. Ah, that's amazing. Screen cap that and send it to me. I'll put it up on Instagram.
Okay.
Um, so he's where Cyclops, dude. I always loved that character in this movie.
Yeah, he's
He's
awesome.
he's awesome. But you know he can't see. The
Makes
actor
sense.
can't see.
That makes
There's this,
sense.
and I didn't know that. That's what I was waiting to see in this documentary I watched. But they didn't talk about it. But in the scene where the fumbling wizard turns into a puppy, you know,
Yeah.
the kid, because the kid always wanted a puppy, that's why he did it.
Mm-hmm.
And the kid puts his staff down to go get the puppy. The Cyclops bends down to get the staff and is like fumbling around on the ground to pick it up.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't notice
because he
that.
can't see shit out of that mask, and there's nowhere to see. When you look at his face, there's nowhere for him to
Well,
see.
yeah, because like there's electronics, I'm sure, and it's either electronics or like he might be controlling that eye. I don't know.
I
You
don't know.
know,
It's awesome though. I
it.
mean,
I
it
mean, it's
blinks and
awesome.
moves
It
around.
blinks and moves and
Yeah.
like, and
Uh,
he's got this like Cyclops is better every time I see this because he just has this like he's like Chief from One Flew of the Cuckoo's Nest. He's
yeah,
just this like stoic
yeah,
badass.
right.
You know, like
I
and
love the scene where I love how well, every scene that he's in, you know, he doesn't really make his first appearance. Like he's following them.
mhm.
Then in the swamp, everything in the swamp is so cool.
Yeah.
But there's that scene where he goes, you know, he finds the dead wizard in the quicksand.
Yeah. And then
And
when he's running,
he just
he's
bolts.
just booking. Yeah.
He can't see where he's running. And that was one of the things in the documentary they showed like them filming that, and they're just like, lift your feet. You can see like the director going like, just lift your feet as high as you can and go. Like there's nothing in your way. And he
Yeah.
just like bolts, you know. Um, Great scene with his trident, but I also really love when he surprises them on the horse, and he's coming, and there's a shot of him on the horse with his trident and the fire. It's just fucking dope, man. Um, while we're on makeup stuff, what do you think of the Beast?
I dig it, man. It always looks so what's funny is like I was always I mean, I watched the movie when I was a kid and like I didn't watch it all the time though. Like I watched it and the first time I saw it, I didn't like it. Um and then when I got to high school or junior high, I watched it and I
What did
liked
you
it.
think as a kid? There's this movie with your name, like
It was weird. I remember asking my dad about it, like, what is this? You know? And
yeah.
it's funny, it came out the year I was born, and he was
No
like,
shit.
yeah.
Holy shit.
And like, there wasn't a ton of merch.
Yeah.
And I remember there was a board game, and my cousins had the board game. Um, and it was just like, but they didn't have the movie, and I remember being like, "Why have the movie?" Because the other thing was we had we had a shitload of movies, but they were all recorded off of HBO, and we had like the 6 hour blank VHS and 3 movies on each or whatever. This was one of the only movies that like we actually owned the case.
Yeah.
And yeah, but when I see so the creature, when I see him in the movie, because you see his whole body in the movie, you know what I mean?
Parts
Like
at certain points.
well, he looks different on the box. He looks like he's like when I was a kid, because I knew Krull was the planet, I thought he was the planet. Like I thought it was like a living planet type deal, and like he just looks different on the box than he does
Right.
because you can see more of him in the movie.
On the box it appeared, and I drew a picture. I'll show it to
you. He looks like a mountain. Yes. You know what I mean?
See how I drew him?
Yeah.
Like a mountain. Like I think on the box they morphed his face onto his castle.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, or at least it looks that way.
Yeah.
But
when you look at at the end of the movie when they're fighting and you can see his whole body, and it's a fucking awesome design and costume. I don't understand why it's so obscured, and they blur it, they fog it up. You never really get like a clear, clean shot of this thing. And he's like bald. Like he's like almost I mean, he is an alien, I guess, right?
I don't know. That's the other thing. It's not really clear what he is, I guess. And it's not like,
because the castle is like a ship in space when we first see it.
Okay,
so lands.
That's another thing I wanted to talk about, is that the other thing that I would always hear like my whole life about this movie was that it was a Star Wars ripoff. I remember seeing it being like, I don't see it as a Star Wars. What are you talking about? And then like, it's a Star Wars. Like there's a lot that is
really,
yeah, like that.
I mean,
the opening shot is nuts. The opening shot,
I see that.
Is
to me, it's more Lord of the Rings. I wrote a whole list of like,
I mean, the guys look like stormtroopers, like the bad guys.
All right.
When they hit each other, like you get the like red and the blue, like it's very much like it seems like they had one movie and then they were like, let's Star Wars this up. Like,
see, that's so weird, man. Because I mean, now that you're saying that, I see it. I didn't have that thought at all. I just kept seeing Lord of the Rings. It's crazy.
See, I honestly think if you walk away with that opinion, like you only watch the first half of the movie, like I don't think of Krull. Like I don't think.
But if you walk away with what, Lord of the Rings?
No, that it's a Star Wars ripoff, because the Star Wars stuff is really in the beginning. Like when you see the like, for lack of a better word, the stormtroopers or the henchmen, or whatever.
They, for some reason, the Slayers, they're not white. They're not white until the end.
Right, but they just have that like, and it's the sound. They honestly reminds me more of the guys from Masters of the Universe.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. I just saw them as Nazgul.
Yeah, they're basically
like you've literally got what is the castle in Mordor?
There's Orthanc, there's
not that, the one that they at the end of the movie
they blow up, the Barad-dûr.
Yeah. So like you've literally got that, and the doors open, they come out. Barad-dûr or something like that.
Mount Doom is the mount. Is it Barad-dûr, or is that the?
I don't know. Let's call it Wilford Brimley.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it lands, and then it's like you've got this Sauron living in it, sends out his Nazgul. You've got the Fellowship, like the wizards.
What's fucking cool about this movie, and all those movies, like Dragon Slayer, Beastmaster, all these movies, they're not like embarrassed to be what they are. You know what I mean?
Sure.
They're just these like sword and sorcery like movies that aren't like, you don't need like jokes. You don't need to like modern them up. Right. like it's just
that's what the 80s were, man. The 80s movies, especially sci-fi, sorcery, or horror-y, they're unapologetic for what they are. Usually
Excalibur's like that.
Yeah. Okay, Excalibur. What is your Excalibur?
The King Arthur one from 81.
There is another movie from the 80s called Excalibur, and it's more sci-fi. It's not. It's
It's
not
not
really.
King Arthur.
It's not really King Arthur. It's sci-fi. It has something to do. I wish I could find it. I've been looking for it like my whole adult life, but I can't find it. It's like it doesn't exist, but I know it does. Anyway, uh, I can picture certain scenes in my head. It's weird. But yeah, I mean, it's even looking at something like a movie like Beastmaster, which is kind of one of those. It's so bad it's good. It like walks
More
the
so than
line.
this, but it's
More so than this, definitely. But it still loves what it is, and it doesn't care about.
yeah,
There's no jokes in that movie. That movie is sincere as hell.
yeah, and
You
it's
know,
it's a bummer that like when you ever see Your Highness,
probably. I don't
it
know.
sucks. It's not good. It's the
Is Hugh
guys that
Jackman in it?
no, it's like Danny McBride and like James
Oh
Franco and
no, I don't watch shit like that.
so like those guys were like huge at the time, and they wanted to make like a like they literally referenced this like they wanted to make a Krull type movie,
Right.
and it's like that, but they were doing the fucking goofy stoner movies at the time, so it's like a goofy stoner movie, and it's like the and
But that
it's
makes sense that that group of guys
yeah,
wouldn't
but
get this in that
well,
way.
here's the thing, like I've watched a bunch of interviews with Danny McBride, and seemingly I think he wanted to do it straight, like he wanted to do I just want to do a sword and sorcery movie, but that's you know what I mean. He also was known for doing
Right.
like Kenny Powers and funny shit. Like like they're probably like, no, dude, do your thing. Like, don't.
Yeah.
What are you doing? But
Didn't he
anyway,
didn't he also write Alien Covenant?
I think he did. He's in.
He's in it. I think
No,
he
no,
wrote
no, no. He's in Prometheus. I
no, he's in
think
Covenant. He's in Covenant.
he's in Covenant.
Yeah.
I
Because I
don't
like
know.
Prometheus. I don't like Covenant. Anyway,
Yeah,
uh,
that's why I like Prometheus. I didn't like Covenant. But yeah, man. Like, and yeah, we don't have to talk about Danny McBride, but like, I just love that this movie is like so like it's just so straightforward. It's like and it's not boring at all. It's you know what I mean? It's like, okay, this guy goes on a quest, he collects a bunch of guys,
right. Fellowship.
and yeah, and then they all go on the quest with him. Some of them die, most of them die along the way,
Right.
and like and that's in the and there's no what if we what if we need to do a sequel or whatever, like you know what I mean. It's just like no, the Cyclops dies because even though Cyclops is awesome and
Dude.
he's like the most likable character, he dies because it's like there's no thinking like, well, we got to save him for another one,
Right.
like it's
His
just
death, man, is like it's so bizarre. Even rewatching it this time around, I was really looking forward to that scene because I wanted to see if it was as weird as I thought, and it is. But
yeah,
like, because like he goes, he says like before that, he's like, "I'm not going with you guys because it's time for me to die." And when you're watching, you're like, "Okay, this is just something that happens with Cyclopses."
yeah,
But then he comes back to save them, and it like is taking these shots and
yeah,
like just a badass, and he gets up there, but then he gets crushed and nobody says anything. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't scream. It just closes and his face disappears. And it's
yeah.
like,
But they are
wait, did he
trying
just
to
like what happened to him?
yeah, well, they are trying to keep the door like
Yeah, but there's no
it
like
goes on a long time where it's
it
like
does, but he's just like straight faced and doesn't react or do any. It was just weird, man. I was just like, holy shit, what a
yeah.
weird death. Um, but my favorite part of this whole movie, man, and always has been, is the Slayers. Um, the things that they do with them. First of all, there's a shitload of rotoscoping, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But I love the concept of like they're the Beast's minions. And when you kill them, their heads crack open and that worm thing comes out,
Yeah.
like a chest burster alien almost. So it's like I can just see kind of like how in Lord of the Rings they've got like the pods where they're like stirring or whatever they're doing with the Orokai as they come out, and like I imagine the Beast has this like factory in that mountain where it's like whether they're got the bodies of the Slayers and they're implanting the worms, or whether it starts as a worm and like the bodies grow around it or something. It's such a bizarre, and the scream that they do when they come out. Um, but there's a scene in the swamp where the like somebody jacks one of the slayers and the head cracks open and the body like is supposed to be sinking, I think, into the sand as the worm thing comes out and goes into the sand.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look, the and I rewound it a few times. If you look as it's sinking into the sand is like coming up into like grains of it are coming up as if it was like defying gravity. So they must
Mm-hmm.
have filmed it backwards.
Yeah.
The sand like I guess the sand was falling off. They filmed it backwards. It looks like it's coming up. It's a sweet ass shot, dude. And it just adds to the weird mythos around these guys. I don't know. I've always been in love with that design and like the
It's a badass design.
concept of it.
They're not as mobile as it, but they get around. I mean, they swing the swords, and the fight choreography is good. And
Well, and it's cool how they've got whatever their guns are. They shoot, but then they flip them and they go to and stab you,
mm-hmm.
at like every time. It's dope, man. It's just and there's a I think I might have mentioned this, but the 2-inch tall muscle men from the 85, the
Yeah.
Mattel,
Mm-hmm.
one of them is a direct sculpt of the Slayers. So
Oh,
whoever made
cool.
those must have been a fan. I don't know.
That's cool.
Um,
I mean, the design altogether, like everything in the movie, like we were talking about the villain and like, I mean, the glaive is the shit,
yeah, the Glaive is
and
crazy, dude.
that's one of the things people really do. When I went to when I used to work the Comic Cons, there was a weapons guy that was there. He sells swords and shit.
Right.
And I asked him like, hey, you ever make the glaive from Krull? He's like, yeah, I made it once. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah. I'm like, do people ask you about it? He's like, all day, every show. He's like, I get it 10 times a day. I'm like, no shit. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, dude. He's like, it's one of the most. He's like, it's really hard to make. Oh, that's something we got to put on Patreon. This is I don't know. Adam Savage, the
Yeah.
from MythBusters.
Yeah.
He's got his YouTube channel is awesome.
It's huge. It's a huge YouTube
I
channel.
love it. It's in my top 5 YouTube channels. But
Yeah.
one of the things he does, he hooks up with what's the name? The big prop guys.
Okay.
Like the guys that have the big prop auctions all the time.
Sure.
So he'll be like, "Oh, this is the original R2D2," and he like knows all this shit about it and really does like a breakdown. He did a whole thing on the glaive recently. And
did he make one? Did he make one?
I think he's made one in the past, like up for his own. But he has the screen used one. He's with the prop house, and he turns it around, and it's like, because it's all just functional. Like it's the it's a screen. They call it a hero prop, the one that like the guy uses, and like you turn it around and there's nothing there, and it's held together by rubber. Like the way like when he clicks it and the blades come out, it's just there's one trigger and it's like 6 rubber bands. And he hits it and the rubber bands like pop into place and then sends the blades out.
No shit.
It's awesome. Like when you see like the mechanics are really like,
so it's not like a full.
No, it's like there were versions that, and I think he might even have them there.
Yeah.
Like there were versions that like, they had to see the whole thing.
Yeah.
But this is the one that he would hold, and he holds it like that.
Yeah.
If he holds it like this, you're going to see that it's a flat,
Sure.
Like
it's iconic, man. And it's funny because I guarantee if you took that picture, and Kevin has it for his Instagram.
I have it on my, when I do cons, it's my banner.
I hope you never change that.
It's on my business card.
Good. Okay.
And it literally like, I probably get a third of the people that come up to me, because it's hard to get people to come to your table if you're not, if you're not a name.
Catch their eye if you don't catch.
People come by and they're like, I what's up? Like, I love that movie. Like,
yeah.
And I'm like,
I guarantee,
I didn't have anything to do with it, but here's my comic book that I wrote.
That's my name. I guarantee though, if you went around with a picture of that, not at a con, but like just on the street or at a bar, whatever, I guarantee the majority, like a large percentage of the people recognize it. They may not know where it's from, but it's iconic. You know, it's up there. It's not a lightsaber. It's not a fucking, the ring or whatever, but it's up there as far as like iconic 80s
I mean,
things,
I was surprised that
weapons.
in Ready Player One, because it's not in the book, but the climax of the movie, like the thing, like he's got to do a thing, and to do the thing, he pulls out the glaive, and there's no like thing earlier where they're talking about it. He just pulls it out and throws it, and I'm like, that I don't know, it seems like a deep cut to me. I mean, I know what it is, but
It
like,
is a deep cut, but it's also it's like it's weird. It walks that line. You know, it's like I think it's right on the edge. I think it's right on the border of like, you know, uh
yeah,
where whatever popularity. Um no, but it's dope. And I love when he throws it and it gets stuck in the beast
yeah, and he
and
tries pulling it back.
using the force to try to like that. I take it back. Like when I actually have it in my notes that he was using the force. So there is that. There's a lot of connections. I see it, but I just couldn't get Lord of the Rings out of my head. But I love like the faces that he's making as he's trying to like.
Yeah, he's like bummed. He's like, oh,
Well, it's
like
that's what I was going to ask you. Is the glaive sentient?
I think it's kind of like uh Thor and his hammer,
Yeah.
where,
Okay.
where he has a bond with it, and it's not.
Absolutely. That's a great
I
comparison.
mean, not in the new one. In the new one, it got a little silly,
Sure.
but like, yeah, like where it's, yeah, there's like he has a connection with this weapon, and it kind of,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's sentient, but it has a, yeah, I bond with him. I don't know, and I love, and I don't know if it's intentional, man, but like when he first gets it, like,
Yeah.
and I love the little side quests in this.
Where
Like they don't,
it's marinating in the hot mountain juice.
yeah,
It's
like they don't,
not quite lava, but
yeah. Well, the side quests don't feel like side quests. It's
yeah.
like hey, if we want to fight this thing, we got to get this weapon.
Right.
Okay, and he goes and gets it, and then like, hey, this guy knows where he is and shit like that. But like when he gets it, he's so pumped to get it,
Yeah.
and he brings it out, and then the dude that brought him there is like, don't use it. You
Yeah, he's
can't
like,
because
don't
he's
use
like
it unless
he's
you
like
have to. He's
yeah.
like, look at this.
Well, he says not until you need to, and he's like, when will I? How will I know when I need to? He's like, you'll know. And
Yeah.
then every time I watch him, like, you could probably use it now, man. Like like although there's never like a point where it's like if you would have used the glaive, you would have gotten out of that. Like the quicksand, it wouldn't have helped him in the quicksand.
Right.
Like yeah, that
The
yeah,
as far speaking of side quests with the spider side quest, um another Lord of the Rings like tie.
yeah,
But man, I love the scene where he comes back from it and he just like he knows that the sand's running out and he needs so he just yells from a distance
yeah.
the information. He just like at sunrise and he's like they're like eating some chicken and they're like what the fuck is he saying and they like run over to him. He's like at sunrise. um Awesome scene. uh what else was there?
How about when Liam Neeson dies and he's just like, hey
He's like,
man,
no, I'm done.
yeah. He's like, come on, we're gonna. He's like, no, I'm dead. That's I've like he's got such a weird delivery of like, nope.
Yeah.
This is it. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm gonna die now. It's such a weird. All the
Totally.
rest of them, like almost all the people get that little. I was surprised, and that's the other thing. The sorcery guy. I remember people like my friend thought he was annoying, but like he totally pays off.
He's
Like
awesome. You talking about the
like
goofy guy?
yeah, the first time he accidentally turns into a goose, and then like the second time, like
His intro is badass, dude. He's this just like a firecracker, literally,
yeah.
and he like lands in the water and it's immediately him. That was a cool intro.
But he also like you get the sense like okay, he's super powerful, but doesn't have a handle on any of
Right.
his shit. So
He's
then
like,
when he turns into a tiger at the end, it's like
yeah,
hell yeah, dude.
totally.
Like
I mean, he intentionally turns into the puppy for the
yeah,
kid. And like, and then yeah, when he does the tiger, um, I love his relationship with the Cyclops.
yeah,
And he's not overly goofy. He's like because
he's not annoying,
no, and he's not, and he talks shit, but he is sincere. Like he believes that he's going to turn you into a pig. He
Yeah.
fucks up every time. He's like Presto from Dungeons and Dragons cartoon, you know, like
Yeah.
um sincerely wants to be a master of his magic, but can't help but fuck it up.
Yeah.
What else was there? Also in the documentary, I saw a thing a while back about Clydesdale horses, which is what those uh fire mares were.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's a scene they spend actually the thing they talk about most in the documentary, and it's only like 25-30 minutes, is these horses. And these are fucking huge animals. Like Clydesdales are no joke. Like you think everybody says they're big, and you just think like, well, horses are big.
Yeah.
How much bigger? But there's a scene in the movie, man, where they're trying to wrangle the Clydesdale horses, and there's regular horses right behind, right running right with the Clydesdale. And there is a significant size difference. They're right in the back. You can see it in the scene in the movie. Just amazing. They're giant creatures. And they talked about like how these had never been trained. They were wild, and they just kind of like wrangled them up. In the movie, there's a little bit of 80s like abuse going on. Like one of them, like you can see in the background, falls off a mountain and like catches itself. And I'm like, yeah, we should be careful right there. But man, just amazing that they use those. And I love the concept. That's like a real like Dungeons and Dragons thing. Like these giant horses that can run super fast, so fast that they spark fire. I think that's dope as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm terrified of horses, like in real life. Like if I'm ever in the presence of a horse, I won't go anywhere. I won't go within 10 feet of it.
You think they're gonna bite you or run you over?
No, I just say like they could kick you, they could do like it's just it's weird to me that like we act like we're in control. Like at any point that animal can be like, nah, man, like this is my show.
Christopher Reeve, man, like a horse literally ended Superman almost.
Yeah. I fell off a horse. It's not why I'm afraid of horses, but like I fell off when I was a kid, and it was like, yeah, man, like dude, they're not. It baffles me. Like,
yeah, I agree
that we just ride them around.
When I was a kid, for some reason, my mom was like, "You're going to take horse riding lessons," and I was like, "Okay." And I have a picture. I'll show it to you. I was on the horse. The horse ran away with me on it, and they couldn't get it. They couldn't catch it. I don't remember how they finally got it, but they did. And then one time I was downtown Chicago, and I went up to these cops on horses, and I was like, "Hey, can I?" Because I still love animals, whatever. I was like, "Hey, can I say hi to your horse?" They're like, "Yeah." I went up and like to touch it. It put its head down and knocked me into the air over a car.
Nope. No way. That's insane.
I was laughing my ass off, but I could have been like pretty hurt. But yeah, horses are insane. I can't imagine that happening on a Clydesdale because they're like 3 feet, 4 feet taller. It's insane. What else, man? What else you got?
Yeah, two of my favorite jokes ever in movies are horse are talking. Can I talk to your horse scenes? Basically, it's the Ghostbusters scene where he's talking to the horse.
Oh, the best.
It's the what an asshole. Like
yeah.
That guy's delivery of what an asshole is
so
best.
Good.
And then the other one, have you ever seen Half Baked?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
It's the best line in the whole movie. This guy is all stoned. He comes walking out of this convenience store. He goes up to the horse. He goes, "Hey, girl, you hungry?" This big fat black chick's like, "Hey, fuck you." He's like, "Oh, I was talking to the horse."
That's awesome, dude. The Ghostbusters one. I'm glad you brought that up. That's stuck with me my whole life because like it's hilarious, but also he's like, "What an asshole." It's like, wait, like there's a number of words that I would have used before asshole because he wasn't being an asshole, but it was
asshole fits. It doesn't necessarily mean jerk. It means like idiot too.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It works better as an idiot.
but I had
Yeah.
never heard it in that context.
Yeah,
And
me
so
it just
so I was like,
fits.
wait, why did he call him that? He wasn't being but
Yeah.
that's such a like
Why did
purely New York thing,
Yeah,
Um,
it's an excellent delivery. Yeah.
so good. What else? Hot chicks that come out of nowhere with food.
Dude, yeah. And oh yeah, I thought you were going to talk about you know what's really neat? Like all the weird like the princess is like imprisoned by the villain, but like when she's in like his eye, or like she's like part of him,
Yeah.
or like the part with the like, I don't know how they do it's like sheets or something, like where it's
Yeah, it's
like
like one of those haunted house things where you go through and it's like almost like two gigantic balloons you're going
yeah,
through, but
it
it
was
closes.
yeah, it was really neat. Like all those things were really surreal, and like she's just like it was
The
it was
design of the interior of the castle or whatever the fuck was like there's that claw
yeah,
balcony thing that moves while she's in it,
yeah.
like zooms out and it looks like it's almost like his hand. So yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
that's
Like
how
it's almost like
I
the
always assumed
palace
it
is
was.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It was yeah, this movie kicks ass, man. I don't know why it gets a bad rap. It's
The dude, the scenes with the old wizard, the blind wizard,
yeah.
the scenes in the swamp with him are phenomenal. They're terrifying to me. When he's standing there, they leave him alone, and the doppelganger comes up
Yeah.
behind him. It
And
looks
like
so good.
yeah.
And
And he
he
like
comes
grows
up.
claws. Yeah.
Yeah, everything every time they gave a human the claw hand, but that shit with that was straight up John Carpenter's The Thing. How it like kills him and it doesn't absorb him because we see his body later, but it's like that actor kills it, man, when he's
Yeah.
like being killed. Um, and then later on when they kill the imposter and he like shrivelly
Yeah.
weird
And
and
that
they
noise.
do it and he falls over and they slow-mo it as he like sinks into the sand, but he's like one of those wormy things from the Slayers. Dude, it's just it's not gory, but it's like
It's hardcore.
it makes your
It's
skin crawl. It's like, oh
yeah.
fuck. They
Yeah.
do a great job with that a couple times in this movie. Um, what else? I don't know. Travel chicken. I've always wanted like the chick show up out of nowhere. They make some kind of like chicken thing for him for
Oh, the
everybody.
Liam Neeson's
Yeah,
like
his
wife.
eighth
He's got
wife.
like 10 wives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That happens in Book of Boba Fett. He eats some travel chicken, and it always looks so good when you're like you're out in the wildery like lands, and whether it's a chicken or a squirrel or whatever the fuck it is, and you put it on the fire and you sit down and you're like, there's not you can never eat. There's like not you never get excess. You just get what you get, and it's
Mhm.
always enough. It seems, and it's like chickeny looking stuff. I want to eat that, man. Just once in my life, I want to do that. I don't know. I got I think that's about all that I have in my notes. You got anything else on it?
No, man. It's a good movie, and it deserves respect, but I'm also glad it's not.
Overly popular.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah, I can get down with that. Um, the rotoscoping, we talk about that every time it's in a movie. Do you know, like, it's just so phenomenal. It's such a great effect. And I know it's like you film the scene and then you do another layer over that where they literally draw it on, right? They literally
Yeah.
draw it on. But what are- what are they what are they using? What are they drawing with? Because it looks like electricity. So what sort of medium achieves that? Do you
I
know?
think it's just anime. I think oh, you mean like why is it like lighting up?
Yeah, like so bright and like is that
I
ink, some
don't
kind
know
of
how you
ink?
do
Or
that.
like what is that?
I don't know. I'm sure there's a way. I'm sure you can look it up.
I could look
I'm
it up.
sure it's like a super practical, like maybe it's just maybe they're using a certain kind of like pen or color that like when the light shines through the frame, it does that. I mean, who knows? Like,
Because we didn't talk about that on Gremlins 2, the electricity
oh, the
gremlin.
electricity gremlin, yeah.
That's 100% rotoscoped.
Yeah.
and it's a great. I really love that character is awesome. I love how they use him at the end, and
Hmm.
you know, Billy's
Yeah.
like, ah. But yeah, rotoscoping is dope, and it's in Krull, it's used a lot, and it's used really well, especially when they fight the Slayers, like you were saying, that red. Um,
Yeah.
the Spike Room as a
Oh,
kid,
the spike.
because like I love Flash Gordon, the movie,
Hmm.
1980 movie. Uh, you know the scene in Flash Gordon where the tree stump where they're putting their hands in it,
Yeah.
and this scene, I love that scene. It's so bizarre, but this scene with the spikes always, for some reason, reminded me of that. I don't know if it's like these sword and sorcery sci-fi mix movies that have like some sort of nature-based trial or threat that you don't see in a lot of. It's unique to the movie, and
Yeah.
this spike scene always felt similar to that. And I love how it's like they keep coming back to it because like the spikes take the one dude out who's
Yeah.
dumbass going for, but then the other two guys like they keep getting closer, they stick it, and it's like, oh fuck, and they keep
Well,
coming
yeah,
back.
because it's when dude is fighting the main bad
Right.
guy. It's like, and you know what? Speaking of like the traps and shit like that, like that's another cool thing about a movie like this. Is like, okay, we're gonna have 10 guys or whatever many guys, and through it's not just like, oh, they're all gonna, some of them are gonna die at the end of the movie. It's like it really gives you a sense of like danger and a sense of like okay, anybody could die, and like the guy that dies in the quicksand, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's the middle of the movie. That's just when that guy died. You know what I mean? And
Right.
like even the old guy dies pretty quick after they get him. The like old like wizard guy, like
Spider guy.
no, the guy with the with the doppelganger, the blind
Oh,
guy.
the blind guy. Yeah, he doesn't. He
Like it's
dies
it's
pretty quick.
right away, but like it gives, it's almost like a horror movie where you're like, oh man, are they gonna? But it
Yeah,
adds like even just having like, okay, this room has spikes that are like, by killing one of the guys, it raises the stakes for the other two guys. You know what I mean? Like it's like,
especially I had that exact thought when like you, they get it when they finally get into the castle and you're down to the lead bandit, Liam Neeson, the kid, and then just the dude who dies in the spikes. So you got four guys from the bandits left.
yeah,
And then Liam Neeson dies, but you still got the guy that nobody knows. I was like, why? I'm always like, why wouldn't Liam Neeson be one of the last three? And then
yeah,
but it's cool that he's not, and that they left the one that nobody knows to die in the spike room.
yeah.
Because then you're only left with the kid and the leader. And I love that the leader makes it out because at the end he becomes his right hand
His
man.
like right hand, yeah,
Yeah,
whatever,
which
the
is
leader of
dope.
his army or whatever it
And it
is.
wouldn't have made sense for Liam Neeson to still be around at that point. So it was a really cool order of how they killed those guys.
Yeah. And like when Hagrid goes, it's like,
Right.
like it's always like, I don't know. It's like, that one. It's just like a horror movie. We're like,
Yeah.
they got that guy. I like
Yeah.
that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn.
Totally.
It just,
Totally.
you know,
I want to
yeah,
look up the Blind Wizard because when he was in this movie, that guy had to have been 80 years old already.
yeah,
I want to see what his career was like because I really liked his performance for such an old dude, like in the scenes that he had. But yeah, man, this is good to do. I'm glad we did Krull. It's weird. What a weird combo on a weird day.
yeah. That,
Uh,
I tell you what, man, that it's so, again, like obviously I had nothing to do with the movie, but it's, it's the closest thing I get to being recognized is like, I get like randomly a few of like, 3-4 times a year, I'll be somewhere, and it's usually when I'm like checking out somewhere. I'll be at a hardware store, and it's always the most random people, not people you'd think. It'd be like, is that really your last name? Yeah, like, and it's always, that's my favorite movie. And I'm
really?
like, have you ever seen? There's a movie called. I'm like, yeah, I know the movie.
Yeah, no shit.
And they're like, that its movie's great. And like, it happened to me we went to the Great Wolf Lodge. We took the kids to the Great Wolf Lodge at Sega Water Park,
Yeah.
and yeah, the woman that they had a Dairy Queen in there, and this old lady was like, this is like, have you ever seen this movie? Like that, there's a movie called this. It's my favorite movie, and it's always, this is my favorite movie.
That's amazing.
One girl was like, and it's always girls. I mean, at conventions it's guys, but like
Yeah.
in public it's usually like, yeah, like women. But like they'll say, I remember the one girl said, Like, oh my God, yeah. Why don't they make movies like that anymore? I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
there's a ton, man. You know, like I'm like, it's weird. I just watched Beastmaster the other day, and she's like, what's Beastmaster?
Oh
I'm
wow.
like, and I'm like, your favorite movie is Krull, and you've ever seen Beastmaster?
Yeah,
She's like, yeah. I'm like, you should watch Beastmaster.
that's hilarious, dude.
Like, you know, and she's like,
That's
it was just
amazing.
on all the time when I was a kid, and I just watched. I'm like, that's great, man.
Yeah.
Like, you
That's
know,
cool because when I hand people my IDs, they go Adam Crone, like the disease.
like the disease. It's a
I used to
really
want to change
awful, this really awful disease.
a real awful. I used to want to change my name for the longest time, but now it at least sounds cool if you don't look at the spelling, but whatever. Um, Joe's developed this new spiel when people notice our name. He's
Mhm.
like, no, when we were back in the day, our ancestors were witches, old crones, Crone.
Mhm.
And we had to change it so that we wouldn't be hunted. So we changed it to Crohn. And I'm like, all right, dude, I've never heard dad talk about that, about witches, but okay.
What do you say, man?
All right, man. Are you good? Are you satisfied?
Yeah, yeah. You got next. You got the
I
next
got
movie.
next, man. All right, here it is. Ready? So next week I've got the letter L. Where's my list? All right, so I've got three choices. You can help me narrow it down. For the letter L, I've got Link from 1986. It's got Elizabeth Shue and Chancellor Valorum. What's that guy's name?
Oh, Terrence Stamp.
Terrence Stamp. And it's about, you'll recognize the VHS. It's about it's like these people that do scientists that do experiments on monkeys, and one of them is like goes nuts. So it's like a monkey holding a match he's about to blow out on the cover. So there's Link. I've never seen it. I've always wanted to. There's Leviathan from 1986, I think, as well. Peter Weller in the ocean, mutant monster. You know what I'm talking about?
I've heard of it. I
You
think
never
I've
seen Leviathan?
no.
All
I've
right,
heard. I think I debated it last time when I had L.
probably.
But
And then the one that's at the top of my list, Leprechaun, the first one.
fuck yeah, let's do that. I haven't seen Leprechaun in a while.
All right, all right.
You
We'll
want to
do
go with the first one with the OG? You want to go with
what?
the
Leprechaun in
original?
space?
Well, no. There's Leprechaun. There's Leprechaun 3 isn't bad. Where he's in Vegas.
No,
There's
I don't like three. I don't like the Vegas one.
Leprechaun in the Hood, and then
I don't like that
Leprechaun in
one.
the Hood 2.
Really? But
Yeah.
some of them don't have. There's like two that don't have Warwick Davis. So
Oh,
that's why.
he's in both in the Hoods, and
Okay,
he's in he's in 1, 2, and 3.
I want to do one because
Yeah, definitely
it's
do
been a
one.
long time since I've seen it, and it's probably the most sincere out of the bunch
I
because
want to
it's the
see, yeah,
first.
if it holds up or if it's like
Yeah,
like how stupid it is.
yeah.
I'm still annoyed we didn't do Critters
Oh
for
man, we'll
C.
we'll do Critters. We've never done Critters. Jesus Christ.
No,
What did we do? What was C for this season?
who knows what was C?
Uh, it was I'll have to look it up anyway because we did Cat's Eye previous. We did uh I don't know. I'll look it up. But all right, I'm always down with like anytime I get a chance to do Warwick Davis. So Leprechaun number one next month,
Hell yeah,
next
yeah,
episode next week. Cool.
yeah. I'm into that.
But I think you should watch Leviathan because it's got Peter Weller, RoboCop.
Yeah.
It's a cool movie. You should watch it at some point.
All right.
But all right, we're gonna do that. What else? I think that's it. What a big, cool 75th episode. That was awesome.
That was a big one.
Gremlins and Ghostbusters anniversary. Are you kidding me? Krull is your last name. What else? There was something else. I'm named after a disease. I mean, give me a break. All right, folks. Thanks for being here. If you want to find us on social media, let's talk about Instagram at Death by Podcast. Let's talk about. I've been messing around with the Twitter a little more at Death by Podcast or Pod, Death by Pod, I think. You can find us there. We're all over everywhere you podcast. Also, all the episodes are on YouTube on our Death by Podcast YouTube. Next week, Kevin, next Friday, what are we doing?
Oh yeah, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It is not sold out yet, but I
Really?
don't think there's a lot of tickets. Yeah, I looked this afternoon, and there were still tickets available.
We got to get on
$11
Joe.
It's gonna sell out.
We got to get on Joe, man. We got to get him to go somehow.
Agreed.
So next week, if you're in Chicago, Music Box is showing Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Kevin and I are going to be there. I ordered new stickers with our Patreon money a few days ago. So we should have new stickers coming that we're going to be handing out because they're doing like some kind of like festivities before the show or something from like 8 to 10. And then the movies from 10 to whatever. So Killer Clowns from Outer Space next Friday at the Music Box. We will be there in person. If you want to support the show directly, patreon.com/deathbypodcast, where you will find our second bonus mini podcast, BoobTube TV. Episode 62 was this week. We watched Gremlins Secret of the Mogwai, episode 3. And next week, what are we doing next week? Treehouse of Horror.
Yes, a random. If anybody has any suggestions besides the first 10 seasons,
we want to do a later season. If you got a suggestion,
if anybody has any suggestions,
shoot them out for Treehouse of Horror.
We'll do it,
or for any BoobTube TV for that matter. If you ever like, yo, did you guys ever see this? It's got to be preferably a TV show. So be like, did you ever see this horror-based TV show? Be like, no, but we're gonna watch it now. Yeah, reach out. I think that's all I got. Is that it?
That's it.
Playing with your gremlin? All right. Playing with your gremlin. It looks cool, man, because you're sitting in the dark and all I can see are his eyes and his teeth.
Yeah.
So bright. That's cool. I'm your host, Adam. That's your other host,
Kevin.
It's Miller time. Kevin, take it away. Put your gremlin down.
Shut the fuck up.
It's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. All right, James Woods, thank you. We'll see you next week for letter L for Leprechaun. I don't know what year that movie was. It was like 91 or something.
I think it's 92. It might be 93.
94, 95, somewhere in there. We'll see you then, folks. Until then, don't stab yourself in the eye. Don't throw acid in anybody's face or on yourself. Try to be good people. Don't be gremlins. Or be gremlins. See you.